And we are live. What's going on, everybody? Rest of Pure is live, end of the week edition with myself, Joe Hulbert, back again. Been a few things going on this weekend in wrestling. We're going to get into all of that, but first things first, please don't forget to like, subscribe, send in your super chat, send in your questions, any of your takes, any of your topics as well, man, because like I said, end of the week, kind of winding down for the week with Hulbert, you know. Kind of relying on you guys to be steering the conversation, giving us topics, giving us things to talk about. We got a few things on the, on the bulletin that we can get into, but like I said, gonna be relying on you guys a lot today. So get your chats in and all that. Hope everyone's having a good week. What's going on, Joe? Talk to me.
Nothing much, mate. Excited to be here. It's been a nice quiet weekend. And in a good spot right now, mate. So I'm feeling good. I watched a lot of wrestling today. Not a lot of stuff that's any use to us tonight, but I did watch a lot of wrestling. And
anything can be used to of us right now, though.
right.
What wrestling's been on? We got like half a show of Collision, SmackDown. Come on,
True, true. I watched a bunch of stuff, but yeah, in a good spot. Excited to be here, and as much as you and I prefer afternoon slots, there's something right about us both looking out the window and it looking like that, isn't it? Really, it's nearly 12.
No, man, speak for yourself, bro. Because, but if Hulbert needs to do the Sunday slot, this is the time slot we got to go with, So
now,
this is what we're doing.
Yes.
Now, what you been watching though? You say it's not used to us, but I'm interested now. We got time.
Well, my father and I have been spending a lot of time this past weekend, and on I think it was Thursday night we watched Sabu and Ray because he was intrigued. He saw on Dynamite the Sabu tribute, and he sort of vaguely was aware of Sabu because he's not someone you're going to confuse with someone else, right? Like if you've seen him, and I was trying to remind him he did an AEW thing and he didn't remember that, but so we watched that, and then I had to show him Van Damme and Cena, and he was like, "This is the coolest thing I've ever seen." Like, he thinks that's one of the greatest wrestling matches ever, Van Damme and Cena. Which, I mean, if you want, yeah. And so then the next
atmosphere,
the atmosphere is amazing, and like to him, to his brain, it like reminds him of almost like our football. This is the way.
How many other John Cena away games has he seen then? Or would he just
probably his first?
Yeah, that's a whole playlist you got through now.
True. Yeah, he doesn't watch the Punk one. So then on Friday we watched the full One Night Stand 05. And let me tell you something, man. I know I'm not breaking any news here, but like, it is amazing how well that show holds up. And better yet, it's amazing how well it plays without any like nostalgia for ECW. It's honestly one of the greatest American wrestling shows ever. Like, it's 2.5 hours. Every match is like greatest hits, I don't think one match crosses 12 minutes on that show, but everything's fun and light. Honestly, just an incredible wrestling show. So we had a great time with that. And then today I watched some FTR. The Discord, LNG Gold Discord, if you remember, you can get access. A member of our community found me. This is a real thing. So when they came to WWE, the Good Brothers, they had a main event match with Fandango and Zack Ryder. And as you know, we don't have main event anymore, do we, here in Britain? Like, it's not on Netflix. So it's lost media, we don't have it. Our friends in the States have it. So I obviously...
So what, is it on Peacock?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I like make a big thing of this. I need to find this main event. And of course, a member of the LNG community finds it, and we watched it together, and it was like, absolutely nothing worth watching. Because of course it wasn't anything worth watching, man. Come on, it was a main event match in 2016. So
how long
we just
was
watched that together? Oh, it was a lot. It was like 12 minutes long. Yeah.
Oh.
They got about 7 minutes of heat. They put on 4 different rest holds. You can imagine how loud the people were. So yeah.
Woke him up before SmackDown. Right. Got on going.
It was very quiet. It was very, very quiet. But
yo, listen, you gotta do what you gotta do out there, Yeah,
man.
Earning a paycheck, brother.
Yeah, it was very funny.
Clocking in. That's what those main event matches are, man.
There is essentially I'm working on something right now. Like 2010's WWE does fascinate me. Not because I think it's good, but because if I had the tools at my disposal, I could make a film about it, I think. Not a good one, I could make a film. Because you
A
see
film or a documentary?
both.
Who would, who would be the protagonist in the film?
Uh, good question. Probably Kofi. Because Kofi's the
Kofi.
guy who, like, he's there the whole decade and he gets the Kofi Mania moment and then they still ruin it with the Brock thing. He's the perfect he's the first. It's just, you watch those matches and it's remarkable how much, like, mental toughness the boys needed to just go to work, you know? Like, they knew they were going to
become numb, bro.
That's what it is, yeah. And it's like I watched for the first time, I think, since it happened, I watched FTR versus Hawkins and Ryder. You know when they win the belts at Mania, Hawkins and Ryder, and I had no memory of the match because, like, it's a pre-show match.
Yeah,
at
who
WrestleMania.
does, bro? Like, come on.
But like, you watch them at WrestleMania, they're wrestling to dead silence, you know, because that was just what it was like. Well, that's what you did in 2019. So, yeah, to me, it's an interesting to watch from, like, a mentality point of view because you see how much they kind of have to just tough it out and go for it. The crowds are really quiet.
Then there's the people who just don't, like Marks.
just loses it. Says I'm done. You know, like, it really does. And I want to be really clear. I'm not saying, like, it was good. I'm not being revisionist. It wasn't good. Like, I can tell you, it was very bad. It's interesting because you watch guys go through these, like, cycles of, are they going to actually do something with me? No. I mean, how many times did I have Dolph? Dolph had like 8 different rebirths and deaths, and yeah,
he's definitely a guy that just grew numb to it, bro.
Yeah,
like,
dude. Do you remember the?
You hear him talk about it now as well. Like,
Oh yeah.
You know, Vince said they're gonna put the title on me. Then they put the title on me. Like, yeah, you're dropping it next week. He's just like, he's just like shrugs his shoulders and that.
The Tyler Breeze story about how, like, he went to Dolph after getting called up and asked him, and Dolph was just like, "This is what it is, man. Just make peace with it, all right? Just this is how it's gonna be, okay? Just when they give you something, make it the best you can, and, like, try not to drive yourself crazy." Yeah, that time is wild. I think we're only just starting to realize how nuts it was. And it was also, it will probably be the last crew in the history of the business that had that schedule too, right? Like 2019, bro, they're still making like 3 or 4 shots a week. Like, and the houses are down, interest is down. I mean, again, I'm going off the rails here, but by the way, speaking of Dolph, different topic. This is a genuine recommendation. He wrestled Jeff Hardy on TNA. It was remarkable how over that match was. Like, if you watch TNA TV, you'll know the crowds are not exactly electric. Nemeth and Jeff Hardy had them, like, rocking, dude. It was
real
really
stars,
fun.
bro.
Yeah, it was really charming, like how hard they work too. It was cool. So, like, if you have, if you're interested in either guy, that was worth watching. But that's how we're starting this show.
Isn't it? We're already diving into the cage match, bro. I'm doing it.
Yeah, there you go. Good shit.
Diving
into the business. Last.
The last? Okay.
I think it taped on like the 2nd of May, I think. But it's putting out like a 5. This is gonna be very funny.
Let me see what the people are really saying about this match. TNA events.
I'm nervous.
The 2nd of the 5th. The event's got a 5.71.
We're in trouble.
Alright, Jeff Hardy defeats Nick Nemeth.
Yeah.
In 10 minutes 58 seconds.
Yeah.
What's your guess first, Joe?
I reckon it has like a 5.8, but I would give it 3.25.
It's got 6.91.
Dude. There you go.
That's over expectations, bro.
If you didn't trust me,
that's nearly 3.5 stars, basically.
It was really good, seriously. And Hardy's having a great run. It's cool to see them, like, how over they are with those crowds. It's really cool. Really, really cool. Good for them.
How often is Jeff actually wrestling, and is he active?
Yeah, they work all the time.
I'm on the cage match still. He's active, man.
They work a ton of tags, right? Obviously, and like 6 rounds. But their know-how in tag wrestling is so, like, they've had so many matches. They know their limitations for the most part, and their matches are over. Like they're really, you can learn stuff watching them. Not saying their matches are going to break like that kind of scale often, but they're going to get their matches over. So it's cool to see. I think it's a reminder of why we need different places for everyone to work, right? Like, I don't think either of us was really rushing for them to have a top run in AEW. I definitely wasn't, Even before what happened, I didn't need that. But it does show like there is value to them when they can be the guys rather than being 2 of 100, Like, so you need different places for people. Hopefully we can get more of that in the industry because it makes everything better.
I agree. It's nice to see. You don't want to. I think like if they want to wrestle,
Yeah.
Like it wasn't to the point where it's like, oh, they need to just like go away forever. It's just like AEW or even WWE in 2025, 2024. It's just not. We don't need 50-year-old Hardys, but there's still definitely a place for them in the business. It's the Hardy Boys, bro.
Exactly.
Big
They're
names,
iconic.
like you said.
Yeah.
Like you said, the TNA crowd's rocking.
Real, man, it's crazy. People go to the shows just to see the Hardys, like
100%.
Yeah, especially the one I went to on Mania weekend. You could like the guy next to me was just there because he wanted to meet the Hardys and he was going to do the meet and greet after, and he had the Hardy shirt. It's like it's cool, man. I don't have any connection at all to the Hardys because I just didn't. My fandom doesn't overlap with them, and
That's mad.
Yeah, I don't. Like, I don't get the Hardys thing. But
so who were your tag teams when you was a kid? Like so
that's
kid?
the thing, because I don't have. I'm a weird fan in the sense that like I don't really have that kid era. You know what I'm saying? Because like
So when did you get into wrestling?
So I watched wrestling when my older brothers watched it, which is when like the Hardys, Dudley Boys. But I don't have a connection to that time at all. I have a connection to when I got into it when I was much older in like the 2010s. So I have a really weird fandom in that. I think that's why my taste is so weird. Like I don't have my nostalgia is when I was like 16 rather than when I was 8. You know what I'm saying? Because that's when I really fell in love with wrestling. So and that's why if you look at the teams that I still talk about, it makes more sense, right? Like when FTR became a thing, I guess I was like 18, 19. When the Good Brothers were, IWGP champions, that was mid 2010s. That was like my time in wrestling. American Alpha's a good one, yeah, in the chat. Like, so because of that, I don't have a thing for the Hardys, and also, their delete stuff. Well, obviously that's not my bag, right? And like, I appreciate and I respect, but like the broken universe is not my thing. But yeah, I mean they're iconic. I was talking to Alex about in Vegas. Their line at WrestleCon apparently was like, it was so long it was embarrassing for the people around them, like because it's just the queue is like so.
If you go in WrestleCon and the Hardys are there, you don't.
You're meeting them, yeah.
You got to book the Hardys, bro. Like it's just it is what it is,
It's wild, dude. It's wild. I mean, when was the broken stuff was nearly 10 years ago, wasn't it? Nearly coming up on it, I think. I think it's 9 years ago. 7? No. Yeah, 9 years ago, I think.
Dates, bro. I'm not.
So okay, here's the best way to do it. They returned at WrestleMania in 2017.
Okay.
And they wrestled on WWE TV this year in 2025. Like, that is insane, man. I can't even wrap my head around that. Like, that was supposed to be their last run.
Matt will never stop though, bro.
No, he'll never.
Matt stop. Especially, he is.
Yeah,
he's something else, bro.
He loves pro wrestling, dude. Like, it's what he'll do until the end, And people can poke fun at it, and we all have our fun. And like, obviously, he moves the way he moves. Which, by the way, he's moved that way for 20 years, and he's got the that very strange thing he does with his legs. But I'll say this, Matt Hardy doing LNG Gold, like I get match requests and stuff to review, and I talked to Oracle a lot about that. We did a whole series on Ruthless Aggression. I didn't know how good Matt Hardy was as a singles in that mid to late 2000s era. Dude. Didn't know.
Version 1.
Mate, but even like, when he's a baby face after that, even, when he's like fighting baby, he was a great pro wrestler, man. Like, really, I just had no clue.
ECW Matt Hardy.
Yeah, he has some matches with Finlay. that are
right.
like terrific. Well, yeah, Finley's one of the best. He's one of the best wrestlers ever. But what I mean is like Matt gels when they have physical matches. It's really really good pro wrestler. I don't know. Maybe that's a me blind spot, but I don't know if he gets a lot of credit as a singles. To be honest, he's really good.
He's kind of slept on, and a shame that he wasn't. He was physically where he was at by the time AEW was starting. Because he definitely played his part in those early days. Of course he was. He was big. He's a big name. He still is now. Do you know what I mean? And AEW needed that at the time. Do you know what I mean? And he did his thing a bit. He did his thing there.
He did. Yeah, he had the big money mat. That was his gimmick for a bit.
Hey man, he did his thing for a little bit, but then he did get tired. And he was waiting around for Jeff to come in, and then Jeff comes in, and then that run is like they wanted to like win the tag belts, they wanted to do this, they wanted to do that.
Too. It's wild, man.
So,
yeah, it's interesting. I do think there's some matches like they were obviously going to win the straps. It would have been interesting what they would have done with FTR in like 2022 because I got a feeling that would have tore the house down, to be honest. But obviously Jeff, when he came in, was not in a state to be wrestling, sadly. So he had a nice little comeback though. When Jeff came back, he had those little singles matches. Remember we did the Dynamite review and he worked Mox. He had a couple of singles matches.
Remember the Darby
maybe last year. Yeah, the Darby stuff was wild. One of them was Owen, right? Yeah, man.
Oh, bro. Tony Khan's a gangster for that, bro.
Just give him ladders to play with. Go on, fellas.
He just like, yo, fuck it, man.
Yeah. Well, that was Jeff's. The main thing he wanted to do in AEW was work with Darby, right? And I think he wrestled him twice in the end. So, yeah. He was like Remember, he was hinting at a heel turn at the end. Remember that?
Yeah, he got bro. That shit got weird. Hardy's last days in AEW got weird. That's a document. That's another documentary for you, John.
I won't make that one. I'll let John Alba make that. I'm not making that one.
But yo, fucking speaking of Darby Allin, he made it. He has made it to the top of Mount Everest, people. I'm sure everybody's already seen the pictures around social media and that. But yeah, he made it. He made it. Seems like he's done it pretty quick as well. Based off, like I was saying to Joe before we went live, based off like the first post that we initially saw. Seems like it's only took him like 4 or 5 weeks or something. And I'm no expert, but I remember reading that it was supposed to take him like 6-7 weeks or something like that. So, who knows? I'm sure. I wonder if he's got any like weird stories. I wonder if he like nearly died. If any weird shit happened, any close calls.
Talk is Jericho is calling, bro. Talk is Jericho. We'll have our answers very soon, but. No, it's cool. I think
anywhere else,
busted open.
Recipurus worldwide.
It obviously meant a ton to him, right? Like he got hurt last year and it delayed it. So obviously good news and
persevered. Got healthy.
He's gonna get a crazy reaction when he gets back to TV.
100%, bro. I love Darby, bro. People love Darby.
It will be. How do you expect them to like? So say he gets back to TV, and let's say he's back on TV. Let's say he comes back at All In. Okay, how are they going to like space out him coming back and winning the strap in October? Because that's another big chunk of TV there, isn't it? Like, does he wrestle once and lose, and then he wins it in the second go round? What do they do?
Well, Ospreay just wins the title at All In, doesn't he?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Come on, man.
Oh yeah. And then
it's coming home, bro.
And then he wrestles Nigel at the O2 Arena, right? Yeah, well, I'm sure.
Yo, come on, bro. Come on, bro.
I don't see it, but I think it would make sense if I don't see it.
Listen, man. This Ospreay's winning the belt, bro. It just is what it is.
We'll see. I mean,
it's Io Sky all over again, bro.
I guess, yeah. Feels like a completely different situation, but I respect it.
Does it?
I mean, yes. It's gonna be 2029. You're gonna be like Io Sky all over again. We're gonna be talking about like, some like Nick Wayne title match. You and I. I'm gonna be completely grey. You're gonna be going Yo, Sky, never forget.
Rhea Ripley.
I'll do
2025.
Monty will be. I'll do a solo show when Wheeler Yuta beats Nick Wayne this Sunday, and I'll be sitting there sleeping in my chair. Yeah.
I think. Darby coming back though. If he does come back at Allin, yeah, like you said, October. I don't know, man. AEW worry me when these things come up though. You know, it's like even this period now, like so far, the TV like they're doing good stuff. You know what I'm saying? But it's like the past couple of years, like me and Joe have done these shows. Ibu, anyone else on these channels, you know, or any of our family, any of the other channels part of our family tree. Like it comes up to this time of year, bro, and All In's coming up, All Out's coming up, you know, Grand Slam or whatever, you know, whatever else is all coming up. Busy chunk of the year, and we're like, how is AEW gonna juggle all this? How are they gonna balance all this out? And the past 2 years, bro, they haven't done a great job. So like,
No.
it's like I don't want to get into doing these conversations for the third year in a row of like, how are they gonna balance all these creative things out and these shows out? And it's like I've done it the past 2 years, and it's like I don't want to speculate too much about it because it's like
they got
what's
closer
happened?
last year. Because like Chicago, I thought they got to, but then it was after Chicago, things got very strange. Very strange.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It gets weird. Shit either gets weird or like I think 2023 it was just not very good, you know? So like
it definitely did. I mean 2023 obviously there was a lot of chaos going on that we don't need to get into. Collider's Unite. But Chicago obviously over delivered crazy. Last year I thought like Wembley and Chicago, they did a pretty good job of navigating it. It was just then after that, as we mentioned. Obviously, the Death Riders thing is like super divisive, right? You know, that's the big arc, and that started in Chicago, correct? Then they come out in Chicago and beat up Brian, right? After wrestle Jack, I think.
Yeah, after wrestle Jack Perry. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, which is another thing that you kind of look back on and go, you know, I actually think Jack's a good wrestler. I just look back on that whole era and think like, that was interesting.
Failed project, bro. It's simple as that. And it's just that a lot of people were just lying to themselves for time about it.
Yeah, but there's failed projects, and then
failed
there's
project,
like,
bro. Yeah.
That was, I mean, in hindsight, that was a pretty extreme failure, though, wasn't it? You know?
Yeah, now because that's the way they set it up to be. It was either going to be an extreme success or an extreme failure with the way they've done it, you know. And he ended up being an extreme failure. So I've said it multiple times, bro. If he came back on Wednesday, Jungle Boy, we all forget it. We forget everything happened. I would not complain or criticize AEW for that. So
I think you could have done. This is a hilarious topic. I apologize. But I think you could have done
Sunday.
The scapegoat could have been a babyface easily, I think. Like, imagine he came back and was like, fuck the Young Bucks, playing the footage on TV to try and like make a show and spectacle of this shit, you know? Because people wanted to cheer him, didn't they? For a minute there. And then he started doing what he was doing and no one wanted to cheer him anymore. So,
I don't know.
I haven't really got, you know, I was just thinking about it the other day. I actually liked the match with Brian. I was the only person.
That's not a bad match at all.
I
think it's more just that, like,
why did they do it?
Yeah, like Brian. We knew Brian was going to have very limited title defenses, and we knew that probably that was going to be his only pay-per-view defense, you know. And he was just like Jack Perry, bro. Do you know what I mean? He was just then like obviously now in hindsight, he was like he did that for a failed project. Do you know what I mean? It didn't ultimately it meant nothing, you know. And obviously, like, you know, that could have been one of Brian's last 3 matches that he had. You know, so
dude, he hasn't wrestled in AEW, Jack, in like I think he hasn't wrestled in AEW for like 6 months, dude. Because he dropped the strap to Danny, didn't he?
All right, Jack Perry cage match. We're back again. Wrestle Dynasty. That's technically an AEW show, isn't it?
Right, but like, you know, saying this in the
a real Full Gear, yeah. November.
Full Gear. 6 months. That's crazy. It's crazy. Match
Thing
wasn't
is,
good.
though, like you see these, you could set something else for him. He could set something else up for himself. Surely, you know.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
know. It's just
like I
I
said,
want
he's
to be
sitting at
clear.
home, wrestled one
Uh,
match in 6 months,
yeah,
chilling, getting paid.
right. I want to be clear. My intention of this segment is not just to be like LOL joke, but I was thinking about it the other day. It's weird, isn't it? Like you sometimes when you're in the middle of doing these conversations, like, he was like central on the show for about 3 or 4 months there as a heel. And you look back on it now, you're like, fuck. It's just weird. Yeah. It was an interesting era. But the point of all this was, anyway, my apologies. The point of all this was it's been very good as of late as AEW. And you're just uncertain, you're doubtful, or at least cautious, I think is the best way to put it.
Cautious, definitely,
Yeah,
and
cautious about
I
what's
don't want
ahead.
cautious, and I don't want to get. I think being too optimistic would be naive based on the past couple of years, you know. So
Would you would you agree the way Forbidden Door and All In a flip this year should be beneficial though? Like, because Forbidden Door, if we're being honest, you don't really need to build Forbidden Door, do you? Really, it's like an all-star game.
but
So you
sometimes that's
should,
what they try to do, though, isn't it?
of
Like we've
course,
seen
yeah,
them. They've done 3 of them so far. I think 2 or 3.
yeah,
Um,
free, no,
and it's
two,
like,
free,
and we
free.
want to. It's like going into it, every single one, you want it to just be like, universe mode.
Yeah.
You just book a bunch of matches. Fantasy booking 101. But they always
Hmm.
try and do like an angle or some shit. Do you know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like, and it's hardly it hasn't been that many of the cool little dream matches that people would have hoped
Hmm.
for. So we'll see what they try to do.
It should be easier to navigate, like, than trying to build Wembley and Chicago at the same time. Is all, that looked like a crazy decision before it happened, and then when you saw it, it was like, yeah, that was stupid. Even though it worked out for the Chicago show. Um, so yeah, we'll see. Dynamite this week was interesting in that, like, it's the first time I've watched it live in full for a long time, and it was a good show that felt a little bit like a show that was adjusting to being back in an arena. To be honest,
Hmm.
I was disappointed in the Chicago crowd. Not in like a personal way of, you sold out. I just more expected it to be, because it was a good house, wasn't it, for a TV? Good house. I was hoping there'd be a bit more. It seemed to me like they were kind of, when I was watching the show, I thought they must be here for the main event because they weren't rocking for anything. But then they weren't really that into the main event. They seemed to like the idea of Joe winning the belt.
The crowds are always into that stuff. They just want to see it happening. So
Yeah, yeah. It was a weird match.
anytime,
That.
yeah.
I've watched it 3 times, that match. Just trying to figure it out, like, what I think of it.
You can't
I
do
do
it with
that
these
sometimes.
matches, bro. Like, because I'm not even sure what they thought of it going into it, And then,
Yeah.
you have all the commotion as well. You got Gabe Kidd going out there as well. So it's like, you have all these different elements into it. There was a rope break.
True. Yeah, that was a weird choice.
You know what I'm saying? It was just, there's no point trying to.
It was, yeah.
This is why it's good we don't do the Wrestle Purist ratings at the minute,
It's true that because, like, someone replied to me. I did a thread about it, and someone replied to me. It was like, it was just a TV match to set up Anarchy in the Arena, bro. You're overthinking it. I just replied like, yeah, I know, but I'm doing it. And at this point, I've already decided on it. I know. I was the reason I rewatched it was I wanted to really think about, like, what did I think of this match? What was the good and bad of this match? Partly because I'm really interested by the way Moxley's wrestling the matches is interesting to me. Not in a good way necessarily, but it's something I just want to kind of think about more, for the sake of these conversations. And that's kind of how my brain works. I don't know why, it just is, but kind of the psychological element of, like, is he getting good heat or not, interests me. So I want to kind of think about it more, And before I go any further, I thought he was really good in the match. I thought Jon Moxley was really good in the match. And I thought the match had a lot of good elements. This is part of why it interested me. Because I thought, if you looked at it as a checklist, I thought it ticked a lot of boxes, Like, I thought Moxley was just enough of a coward to be a heel, but he was also vicious when it came down to it. They were really physical and aggressive. There was a lot of blood. They used the cage, maybe not as much as I'd like, but they did use the cage. They worked really hard in the ad break. It did a lot of things right, and it had 15 minutes, but you were left kind of going, it felt like a good match. Richard says something very similar in the chat. It felt like a good match that had a great match hidden within it, didn't it, almost? And that intrigued me. And I was trying to think afterwards, like, I don't know where I'm at on the kind of debate of whether the Moxley heat is really effective or not. I don't think it is, personally.
It's a real debate, though. Like, there's some people that will die on that hill, bro. Like, this is good heat. This is what a heel is supposed to be doing. Because it's not so much, you know how some people defend like wrestle crap in like WWE or TNA or something, for example, be like, oh, it's supposed to be bad, you know. People can't. It's not quite that argument though, is it? You know, it's like you're supposed to like detest it, you know, in a way that like a lot of people who are on that side of the argument feel like Mox is doing effectively, not just doing a bad performance that people are tired of and don't like, you know. And then obviously there's the other side of it, which a lot of our friends are on, of like just this is not working, this is ineffective, you know. But obviously Mox is still a big name and people still react to him, you know. So it's like, it is an interesting conversation. It doesn't surprise me that you do kind of debate these things with yourself and you try and pick them apart, because it's like, I see people whose opinions I do respect on both sides of that argument. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People whose analysis and critiques I value on both sides of that argument, you know? I'm honestly, when it comes to Mox post the Cope catastrophe, you know, I've found it pretty inoffensive, to be honest.
Right.
I've liked some of his performances. I think some of his promo work throughout most of this has been pretty good. Sometimes he does just waffle, you know, and he's just kind of, it comes across almost incoherent, you know. But like, I think he captures the energy of his promos very well. Like that one last night on Collision, that was very well done, I thought. But it's just, it is interesting because you do watch some of the matches, because like you said, like Mox can still deliver in the ring. Do you know what I mean? So it's like you can watch. It's like, is
it working?
Are we all wrong?
That's what, especially when, because in our circle it's going one way specifically. I always have, it's not a contrarian thing because I'm not trying to argue with anyone. I just think like, am I off base on this? You know, and where I do currently think, I don't think it's getting ideal heat, to be honest with you. The reaction to the finish on Wednesday to me felt more like a, of course, rather than like a, oh, fucking John Moxley. I want it, you know, it didn't get the reaction I would look for. But as you just laid out perfectly, I think it's an interesting conversation, because I do think the broader conversation is, you know, like, what is a heel in 2025? I think it's a real conversation, and not in a way of like, oh man, you can't get heat anywhere now. It's like, it seems like a very interesting thing to kind of do a broader conversation on it. And maybe this isn't the time, but there are still heels in wrestling, right? I think Kyle Fletcher has got a lot of plaudits for being a real heel and like showing arse and being a coward and making fun of himself and kind of being willing to do that. I think he's got a lot of credit for that. I don't know if I would say he's getting like,
go on. It's not.
I think people like booing him, but
people like booing him. There you go. Like, it's not.
See,
it's an appreciation of like, oh, he's doing good heel work. You know, like we know, like the fourth wall is like broken. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, and we're not saying that, oh, you know, kayfabe's dead. You know, we're not trying to be like, yo.
Right.
This is what I think. This is why, like, I find MJF like really interesting. You know, because it's like, yeah, people started to cheer him, but like, because he was like, you know, like always in character and everything, and he was just so almost like cartoonishly heel. You know what I mean? That like, when they turned him babyface, that kind of shattered that law. Do you know what I mean? That law of his. And it's like, yeah, we can go back heel again, but it will never be what it was. you know, and that's just
Right.
one example. And MJF he's a unique example as well because like he, you know, like I said, people started cheering him and stuff as well. And like he has such a divisive way of doing things. Some people think he's absolutely the shits. Do you know what I mean? Then some people think he's like the greatest wrestler of his generation. You know, so it's like he's super divisive in that way. But like a heel's probably supposed to be divisive, bro. Do you know what I mean? A heel's meant to be
It's
divisive. So it's like it's a.
fascinating, isn't it? Because
And then, like you said, then you've
like,
got the Fletchers. It's like, oh, and even like
right.
Roman. Like Roman was a heel, bro. You know, like everyone like loved him, but I don't know who were like some of the last people that were like.
Right, and here's the big one to look at when we're doing
Ricochet
like
is a good one,
assessment.
I think.
Ricochet's doing a good job. A big one to look at for this broader conversation is look at Dom, who appeared to be getting heat, and at some point he got enough heat. They just went, "We actually love him." So it's like I don't know, I don't really know.
The manufacturer.
It's a strange one, isn't it? I don't know what the right answer is. I want to be clear about that. This is not me being like the guys don't know what they're doing out there. It's not that at all. I'm intrigued by what it is at this point. I think it's a very challenging thing to do, to be honest. Very challenging.
Yeah, and I feel like I said, I feel like Bookers, kind of like they'll squander it a little bit sometimes. You know, like I was just and the example we were just talking about, and there's Dom as well. And it's like I feel like you know, like Dom starting like the G's slowly starting turning into cheers. I feel like that was manufactured creatively, bro. Like the way that like they'd do the Judgment Day segments and the way they'd present Dom and doing like comedic stuff with him, then having like Finn being weird towards him and stuff like that. Like this, it wasn't just like Dom was just chicken shit with no indications or no anything to make him likable, and like people just randomly decide to start cheering him. Like this definitely like this Dom babyface arc is definitely something that has been manufactured. No, I'm not going to say completely. I'm going to say it's an industry plant babyface. Of course, not people love Dom, bro. But
they leaned into it, is what you're saying.
Yeah, they leaned in. It's just kind of like you've got a real. And what's the? You've got a real kind of like a great kind of like chicken shit. I love Dom as heel. Do you know what I mean? Like I love kind of like what he was in not just WWE but in like the wrestling business of like, do you know what I mean? Like Ray's little prick son. You know, it was just I liked it a lot. Then like I said, the MJF thing that we were just talking about, like decided to make him babyface, and even at the time, bro, I wasn't opposed to it. But you're just kind of like, if you're gonna make him your babyface, bro, you've got to make him like the man. He's got to be your central figure, and I guess they tried to do that, but you know they gave him a bit too much rope, and do you know what I mean? And the creative kind of there was unfortunate injuries and stuff like that, and it kind of ended up getting all, you know, dripping all over itself. Basically, that did. The lucky thing with MJF is that obviously he's young enough to kind of have this year that he's had. And like, he's going to be back in he'll be back in the world title scene probably before the end of this year, you know. That's part of the reason why I think MJF. That's part of the reason why I think I've still got faith in Ospreay, because of those teases that they were doing with MJF. And it was just kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
makes sense.
What?
Yeah,
It just made me believe again, Joe. You know what I'm saying? Like, because MJF's whole thing is getting the world title back, and it's like Ospreay being the guy to save AEW could make sense. And it's like, I don't know, man.
It definitely could. It's just hard to. I don't even know where the Max Hurt Syndicate thing's going yet. You know, so it's like I don't know. People in the chat talking about Solo. So this is a really good one to like put all the bits aside. This is a good one to use a case study for Solo, right?
He is.
Solo was, I think we all, and I like Solo Sikoa, and I think there's a role for Solo Sikoa. He was very overexposed last year. He was the main character of SmackDown. It was insane.
That's what makes it a tougher conversation, though, isn't it?
It does, right? But I think the way they've booked him this year, it would be a very easy argument to go, he failed as a top heel, right? Like, otherwise, why is he now this? But if you were Solo Sikoa, you could be like, they trying to fuck you Solo every single time I went out there. Every time. They never cheered me. Now, from an artistic point of view, his matches were not great, but they also, like, other than the SummerSlam match, even that, because they had all the run-ins, it's like, it wasn't like the crowd was silent during his matches, is what I'm getting at. You know, they try and fuck you Solo.
I think creatively, I think it kind of worked for the WWE audience. I think it's like it's very much like people like us who kind of pick it apart the way that we do because he was like, the bloodline ties and him being the person to break off. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like all that was for it was all foretold.
Right.
All the weird looks that people would go back and do. It's like
Hmm.
people were fantasy booking Solo to do this. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
when he ended up doing it for that WWE, especially the WWE live audiences that we know kind of like were happy to go along with these things, they're not watching Solo Sikoa's matches like, oh, this is only 2.5 stars. Like they're just
Hmm.
like, fuck you, Solo.
Right.
You
And
know,
what's
we
interesting
want
is
Roman. We want
like,
Roman. Like that's all it was, and that's all. I guess that's all the goals for it was. So
and it,
in
yeah, and for
terms
that
of,
it worked. Yeah.
but
I get it.
for
Yeah.
to what you were saying, it's like as a project, him individually, he's like, yeah, he
Right.
didn't work as a top heel because he wasn't able to show the qualities that you'd need from a top heel if you're going to keep somebody in that position long term. But for what they were actually trying to achieve in terms of the reactions and I guess the interest from the live audiences, it did work in that sense.
Hmm. It's what makes it an interesting example is you put him and Jacob alongside each other. Jacob can't get heat because people like him too much. He's too cool. Frankly, he's too good. If Solo was on this StreamYard right now, he'd be the first to tell you that Jacob is far more polished of a worker and is far more exciting of a worker. I think he's oblivious to that. But because of where we're at, that makes Jacob an ineffective heel because he is so exciting. It's like a very hard thing to it's a tightrope to walk. Because what I'm basically saying here is something that I do not believe in at all, which is like, you almost have to consider how fun to watch a guy is when you're slotting them baby or heel. And that's a really dangerous game to play because suddenly you're almost rewarding guys for being lesser than. You get what I'm saying? It's like Solo was a better
That's
heel
why you
than
got to be
Jacob.
careful with it, though.
Exactly. It's a tightrope. It's like Solo is a better heel than Jacob because he's less fun to watch. Okay, hold on, stop. That doesn't seem like a good thing. But and again, I'm not doing the Solo bit here. I'm using that as just like a case study. The same as like if wrestling crowds were like this in the early 90s, would Big Van Vader be able to be a heel? Or as soon as he does the moonsault, people going, fuck that, Vader's a babyface. You see what he did on TikTok?
Man, yeah,
You know
that's
what I'm
what.
saying?
Yeah, literally. I was about to go there. I was about to go there as well. Like, I think now we have to kind of like forget what the traditional heel is supposed to work like and what the traditional babyface is supposed to look like because obviously the way styles and the way the game has evolved over the past 20, 30, 40 years. So it's like, how does a heel work? And it's like we've all had this idea, especially like people who are like our age and older. We've got this idea of like a heel works like this. They do this and they do this and they interact with the crowd like this and they pace matches like this, X, Y, and Z. And a babyface does this and they're X, Y, and Z. But that's obviously very different now because of all the things that you were just talking about. You can't be a heel and be as explosive and as exciting as Jacob Fatu in the ring doing fucking, best moonsaults ever and fucking dives and fucking just just super dynamic. Like, you can't do that really if that's kind of like if that is your ring style. You can't really do that.
And they did rein him in, didn't they? That's the craziest part. We've both watched him in MLW. They reined Jacob in, and it was still too much.
On the flip side, though, I think somebody like Bron Breakker could work because even though his offense is exciting, even by modern standards, you know what I mean? Like his spears, the way he hits the ropes, all this, it's very striking. Jumps off the page and that. But like, I feel like because he's so impactful, and like it feels like he genuinely is harming these people, And that's not to say that Jacob Fatu couldn't add that to his game. I've seen Jacob Fatu beat the shit out of people, There is like, if you do that to a babyface, that can get heat, And the thing is as well, the difference is that Bron's energy, like I've said this before, even though Bron every time he's on screen he does something that makes me want to fucking run through a wall or rip your shirt off or whatever the fuck, his energy, he isn't as his energy and his personality isn't as likable and as infectious as someone like Jacob Fatu. Like Jacob Fatu, when he talks, he's so charismatic, so energetic. It's like you just fucking love this guy. Whereas Bron Breakker, he is charismatic, but it's in a different way. Do you know what I mean? So you have to, like you said, yeah, like we've been saying, you have to be like very careful
Uh-huh.
with, because you can't just be like, oh, somebody who's exciting as Jacob Fatu can't be a heel. Because like I said, you can look at someone like Braun, who is also super dynamic and fucking exciting to watch, and X, Y, and Z ticks a lot of similar boxes to Jacob, but like I think he could work better than a Jacob Fatu. It's just that Jacob Fatu, it's
Mhm.
like you've got all these different elements that are so likable about him. It's like, how can you not want to cheer and love this guy off,
Right.
you know? So,
Yeah, I think the real crux of this is like someone in the chat said it's the art of working as a heel, right? Which is
hmm,
really that is something that I do feel safe in saying is kind of a lost art. Um,
here it is.
and I try to avoid that now because like there's good wrestlers and bad wrestlers in every era, right? Like that's the way it is. But I do think that is one, and everyone in the chat's been talking about Gunter. And last week we had a long conversation about how much I actually resent. I kind of resent that people are feeling bad for Gunter getting actual heel heat, and like I'm sure he's thrilled with the reaction he's been getting lately. I don't know why he shook hands with Pat McAfee. That's a different conversation for another day. But we talked about this last week, right? About like it's good they chant you tapped out, dude. Like that's awesome. That's great for him as a heel. Um, he's it's not a coincidence. He's one of the best guys I've ever seen at steering the ship as a heel and giving the babyface just enough and leading a match. Um, so that is the real art form. Another guy who people will be not surprised that I'm bringing him up. If you watch how Dax worked Daniel Garcia,
Oh,
crowd was, dude, they were trying to fuck you, Dax. That crowd, like, because he knows how to work as a heel, and working as a heel is different to talking as a heel, and not everyone can do both. Um, it's a really, I mean, and I want to be clear, like, this is not us. And I hope it comes across this way. Like, we're not like lecturing in terms of this is the way it should or shouldn't be. It's an evolving thing, isn't it? It changes,
I don't even
and
think we're
there's
lecturing at all. I feel like we're just kind of
no. I hope so.
unpackaging and
Yeah,
interesting
I hope so. That's the goal. It's
talking
just
point, you know?
yeah, because it reminds me of when in the late 2010s the company swore by Baron Corbin as a heel. And so did the boys. They would say he was the easiest guy. If you're a babyface, you want to work Baron Corbin. It's like, but I didn't really like watching him wrestle. So I don't know if that is, I don't know if that is effective. I didn't really want to watch him wrestle. And I like Baron Corbin. And I think when he got in a different role, he showed his value. I don't think his role was top heel, similar to a Solo Sikoa. Um, but I think it's something that the industry and the fans sometimes disconnect on. And it's a challenging thing. I think it's a challenging thing to now. I think being entertaining, but not so much so that you become a babyface, is like a real thing for wrestlers to kind of wrestle with nowadays. So
I think
everyone's
Gunther
different.
does. I think Gunther does honestly walk the line pretty well. Um,
Gunther's incredible, absolutely.
he's one of the only ones that does, you know. But obviously there is still like the appreciation for him. But it's I feel like that isn't as widespread with the live audiences. You
Yeah,
know, so we look at Gunther and we see him as like one of the greatest wrestlers of his generation. You know, like legitimately.
yeah,
So it's like the WWE live audiences, they know he's kind of got like this aura and this lore from pre WWE where they just know Gunther, you know.
yeah.
They probably didn't even watch his NXT UK run, you know. So
Right.
um, I do think Gunther can walk. I do think he walks the line very well. I think he's adapted it to TV very well. I understand a lot of the criticisms about the way that he's presented and certain creative choices are made, like the whole Pat McAfee thing and how that ended as well. But in terms of performance wise, I think he does very,
Yeah.
very well in relation to the conversation that we've just been having. But elsewhere, it's tough, man. Like I said, Max is kind of the reason why we started this conversation. It's like
Right.
he's such an interesting one to think of when we're talking about this, you know.
Hmm. Where?
Charlotte could be an interesting one, couldn't she?
So in Vegas, I actually was surprised when they started the match. It actually did have like good heat in my section.
Ooh.
Naya?
Go
Yeah.
on, go on.
Yeah, cool. We'll get back to that. But in Vegas, the Charlotte Tiffany match actually had good heat when it started in our section. Um, and I was like encouraged by that. People really wanted Tiffany to win, you know? And it kind of died off as the match went on, unfortunately, because I didn't think they clicked very well. But Charlotte, I think Charlotte can get good heat. I think right now you got to go a different way. I think, which we discussed obviously last week, and it seems like they actually are going to tell something resembling the story we discussed. I say resembling because obviously I went, you know.
You say we as well, like it wasn't.
Yeah, well, you're part of it now. You're in those clips, mate. You can't get away.
Listen, I'm all for the Lexi discourse. I'm there, bro. You know.
Right, but there was, you know, on Friday they had the thing about her being called to her in NXT, and I think there's something to be said for like everyone needs something different. And I think what Charlotte needs right now, and she's said this directly, so I'm not like talking out of turn. She's said as much. She needs to be like humanized as a character. And I'm my general feeling with wrestling is I actually want less of that at this point because I think everyone does the like, here is who I am as a real person promo. And sometimes I just want someone to be a wrestling star. But Charlotte's been on our TV for 10 years and has won the belt 80 times. It's probably time to go that way with her, you know. And I think like
everyone's case by case, aren't they?
Yeah.
So like you just said, like Charlotte, she's been the exact opposite. You know, for the past 10 years, she has just been the superstar. She's just been the queen. That's all she's been. You know, and obviously when she came back, it did feel like she wanted to try and do something that humanised her a bit more. But obviously as a babyface, you know, and obviously the fans rejected that, so she leaned into the heel stuff. And I do think, like, honestly, like. Yeah, there was the controversial segment with Tiffany, which was a train wreck. I wouldn't dispute that at all, but I do think that, you know, she did kind of just throw her hands up and was like, fuck it. She didn't fight it for too long and try and force a babyface run, you know?
Yeah.
And a lot of people would have in that situation, especially coming back after as long as she did from injury, blah, 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 you know? But then, on the flip side, a lot of people would have been a bit more self-aware to have not even tried to have come back as a babyface, you know? From a position like Charlotte. So, but yeah, you could definitely see the seeds of her trying to humanise it a bit more because, you know, she's been through stuff in her personal life. Everybody knows about it. She went through a brutal injury. Do you know what I mean? So,
there's something here, isn't there? There
definitely is.
And I'm not someone who gets too in the weeds with the way they tell their stories because I don't watch close enough, and I also think it's a dangerous game to like really immerse yourself because it often backfires. But Charlotte's thing on Friday of like this thing that Alexa vividly remembered, Charlotte was like, I don't remember that at all, you know? Oh, that was so, for where my brain's at with that story, that's like perfect, I think. The idea that Charlotte's in such a different world now and is so belt obsessed and so goal obsessed, she only remember being a nice person to Alexa in NXT, you know? Like I think that's just awesome. And I think, in fear of running back last week's episode, we'll move on in a second. But I do think when you look at the broader conversation of like the way people talk about women's wrestlers and the way that it's being called out, like even Big E called out on the pre-show a couple weeks back or post-show, whatever it was. I think there's a story to tell there, like for sure. You know, I think it could be really, really cool actually. And I think I'm more confident now they may tell something similar than I was a week ago because I don't think this is a Road Dogg project. That being in this promo this week was like Charlotte has her hands on this, I think. Hopefully it goes well.
Yeah, of course she does, it's Charlotte.
Right, but you know what I'm saying, right? Yeah, it's a good example.
Becky's doing it at the moment. Becky's veered hard into that I'm going to be the person you believe me to be rather than the humble, personal human.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Becky's...
Well, she's awesome. We were talking about this earlier. Before we went live, we were talking about like... she is a throwback pro wrestling star in that her brain works in like, what am I trying to achieve? What angles am I going to shoot to get there?
Mm-hmm.
Like she's so direct with what she's trying to achieve as a wrestler. Becky's invaluable. There will be wrestlers that like do their offense sharper and all of that good stuff. And the number will probably go up in the coming years as more talent gets signed, more talent gets called up. There will always be a role for Becky Lynch as long as she wants to have one because she's a star and she just, the way she thinks about wrestling, you know, it's...
One of the best wrestling brains.
I think so.
Like, especially today in the US, you know,
Definitely
man
most
or woman, bro.
effective. Yeah,
Yeah,
she gets
yeah.
shit done, dude.
But yeah, this is what I kind of like popped out of the chat
Yeah,
earlier. Big Nia Jax is a good heel. She is, bro. Because like
yeah,
some people just cannot stand her, bro. But when the bell rings, mate, it's like that Tiffany match the other day. Bro, she's performing. She's over the past what 2 years. She's been one of the most consistent in ring women in that company. To be
right.
honest.
But this is perfect for the conversation we had. Nia Jax is a wrestler that actively is benefiting from her reputation of not being a good wrestler.
Yes.
That's fucking weird.
Even
Yeah,
though that's what you want. You want people to think you're shit, but you're not actually
right.
because
Now,
she's not.
for anyone who's never seen us before, we both like Nia Jax. This is not us saying Nia Jax isn't good. What we're saying is exactly what you just put it. Like, we're now at a point where part of her heat is absolutely that people think she sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, fuck it. I don't like Nia Jax isn't any good. She injures people, blah, blah, blah. And then she goes and has good matches. And they like, part of the
Resent
reason
it.
part of the reason they get over is because the people don't realize she's having good matches. It's very strange. It's a very strange thing to, I'm not here to overstate her like she's fucking Tenru or something. I mean, obviously she's had some misses, right? And I think her matches work better on TV than pay per view because you can put her heat segments in the breaks, right? And you can kind of produce them more to that, more of an edit basically. But yeah, it's just she's a perfect example of what we were talking about, man. Like when she comes out, people kind of go, "Oh, I hate Nia,"
Mm-hmm.
because the way they remember feeling about her years ago. So it's interesting.
Listen, man, she's not like most girls. You know?
She's not, most certainly not.
I'll fuck with Nia, man. Alright, let's do a couple super chats. Black Yakuza 94, $10. Appreciate your kids super chats coming. I know everyone is rightfully down on Cena versus Truth. I think the latter's promo on Friday did a great job at selling this Cena heel turn better than John himself. It wasn't terrible, bro. And our Truth, obviously we roll our eyes at him because that's the role he's played for the past how long has he been like this in WWE?
Nearly
Ages, bro.
15 years. Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So obviously, but his performance wise, our Truth can, he can be effective when needed to. Bro, he's been in the business. That's a former NWA World Champion, brother. He knows what he's doing. He can sell a fight. He can sell a story. He knows what he was tasked with in this sit down promo. Obviously, just conceptually, the idea of our Truth having a sit down promo is like, what the fuck are we doing? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I do agree. Our Truth, just because I'm against like the creative and stuff like that, doesn't mean that I'm gonna or anybody should kind of like dismiss the performances put in by anybody who gets dragged into like this Cena-verse over the next few months. It's not our Truth's fault. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. I'm not like super opposed to this. I do think it would have been a better thing to do as like you do the segment in the opening of SmackDown and they have the match in the main event. I think people would have been a lot more forgiving if it was just a one night. Oh my god, he's wrestling R-Truth tonight, and the live crowd. Can you imagine how hot they'd be for that? They're going to get to see John Cena wrestle. Like, I think that would have been the way I think they should have done it.
I wouldn't have done a match.
Right, but if you were going to, do you agree that's?
Oh yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I guess so. I was gonna say though, like I wouldn't have even done a match. Like you can do like pretty much all the stuff that they've done, all the backstage segments that they've done, even the stuff at the press conference. I wouldn't have done the run out at fucking Backlash. That was ridiculous. But like, a lot of the other stuff, or like you could have had like a segment where R-Truth goes up to him backstage after seeing a walk through the curtain or some shit. Do you know what I mean, or whatever? And then I would have had a segment on one of the Raws, or even on Saturday night's main event, where Cena, and R-Truth comes out and almost cracks him. Do you know what I mean? Like almost gets to him, and Cena just kills him. And I wouldn't have done like a whole match. Do you know them ones? Like,
right.
So
I think it's one of those kind of when it rains it pours things in the sense that like I think if this Cena run is incredible so far, I think people are a lot quicker and more comfortable with being like, it's fun. It's a side mission or whatever the hell. Like, I think because people are down on it, fairly, I think that means people are a lot quicker to kind of just go, God, now they're in Truth. And also,
it's another thing, isn't it?
On top of that, let's be real, if the other world title match was, not what it is, I also think people would be like, it's a side for this main. I can't look if you're excited for Jay and Logan, like God bless. That I can't. I'm not watching them two fellas have a wrestling match. It's not, I have my limits, Wonder. I may watch Fandango matches every weekend, but I have my limits. I'm not watching that. Thank you.
I hear that. I'll wait because I'll be watching the show, so I'll watch the whole show. It's nothing that I'm. Cause like you, bro, I'd imagine you're the same, bro, because we are big on Jey Uso. Do you know what I mean? But we don't lie to ourselves about Jey Uso. We ever can try and convince people that he's this, 5-star general or some shit. But I want Jey to have a good reign, bro. I want Jey to have opponents that I can be like, hold on, you know what I'm saying? Like you look at the graphic, you're like, hold on, something might happen here, But Logan Paul, bro, it's just gonna be super, super heavily produced,
it's gonna be gross, dude. I'm so done with when I sat there live watching him wrestle, and there's all this talk about how great of a heel he is, and his heat segment against AJ was he just executed all of the moves that he does, or his whole video game moveset without any healing in between. He just walks around, he does one of his moves, he walks around, so he does all of the things people bury independent wrestlers for. He's a spot guy. That is literally him to a T. It drives me nuts, to be honest with you, but. You see all these old heads.
Nasty. It's nasty.
He is nasty, bro. Because all these old heads cite him as a real wrestler, and it's just I very seldom get that way with wrestlers, but it irritates me.
It's like they watched him once, isn't it? And it's
bro.
Because when he first came in, bro, I think Ibu's made this. So I'm sending him a link, by the way, so I'll keep looking down people. But Ibu's made this point as well in the past, bro, of when he first came in, and he's having those first matches, and he can hit his spots. And he's super athletic, and he's got kind of dynamic offense, and he's doing it. Who cares if it's overproduced because it's his first few matches, and he knows where the hard cam is, and he's giving it looks, and he's healing it up, and you're like, yo, he's impressive. But bro, he's the same wrestler still. Do you know what I'm saying? He's the same now. So it's when he's doing these cliches and stuff, because that's what they are. Whilst they might have been impressive in his first 1, 2, 3 matches, especially against the Miz and people like that. You know what I'm saying? That's really impressive then. But it's when we get into he's been here for a year, 2 years now. It's you know what I mean? Come on, bro. Then, like you said, you have all these old heads that are still fucking lapping it up, glazing, praising him, and it feels like they just watched those first few matches and they've just made their mind up. He's the truth, When it's that's just not the case, bro. If you've watched him, his quote development over the past 2 years, there's been very little of it. Ibu, you're backstage, you're on camera. So I'm pulling you up now.
Uh-oh.
Yo, Ibu.
What's happening, everybody?
Yeah, you're out and about.
Yeah, I'm outside right now. I'm headed to my local convenience store. I wanted to stop by, say what's up to everybody. Shout out to the New York Knicks. Eastern Conference Finals, first Eastern Conference Finals since 2000. I was a young lad. I was a young man. It's been 25 years.
Listen, I'll allow it, bro. I'll allow it.
25 fucking years. Know what I'm saying? I sat through years where they called us a laughing stock, where my team was made fun of, where I was in high school and niggas was repping the Miami Heat and the Celtics. But I never wavered, man. I'm a loyal guy, Hilariously, I'm loyal to a fault to everything I've liked except WWE. I was a hardcore WWE fan. And then 09 hit, and I was like, this shit is ass.
TNA.
TNA too. Yo, we took on WWE in 2010, and I was like, yeah, we're gonna win. We got this, you know what I mean? And then it was April. I was like, nah, it's over, bro. It's over. But what I actually wanted to pop in to say was, there's this fascinating thing happening with Logan Paul where it feels like they're telling you two things at the same time. And I say this watching closely because his appearances and his usage feels government mandated. But at the same time, it deadass feels government mandated. But at the same time, they're doing this thing. Monty, I don't know how close you paid attention to the Jey Uso usage on Raw, right? But Braun was after him. Seth was after him. Punk made a vague allusion that both him and Sammy want his belt. And then Gunther says something. But in his promo with Gunther, he literally said like, I'm gonna take care of the YouTuber, then I'm gonna come and fight you, and I'm gonna do this, and then he talked about Logan like it was just kind of a passing formality he just had to deal with. You know what I'm saying? Like it felt like one of those weird things where like they acknowledge like, all right, we know that's filler bullshit. We're gonna get right past it and do like the next step, which is him and Gunther again. So it's just interesting to see because I'm watching a show and they're setting up all these things for Jay that have nothing to do with Logan, and they barely even promoted or mentioned the match. It was like really fascinating to see. So
yeah, it has been a weird build, insignificant, lacking a bit of focus. Jay's obviously his focus has been elsewhere. They're already building to the Gunther stuff, you know. So it's like, yeah, I agree, bro. He is interesting, and there is definitely, yeah, no, it definitely does. So that's why Ibu has to go to saying like, yo, it feels government mandated because it almost feels like, oh, we've got this asset, we have to use him in prominent spots. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, that's what they've done here, but it feels like almost like Triple H isn't really feeling it or that. And I think regardless, like, yeah, that graphic, like, it stinks. I'd never bought that. It's like, if you're gonna do it, do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro. But what? That's you ain't got. If you don't think the guy's any good, why the fuck did he beat AJ Styles in a stadium? Like,
no, I agree. It's so
no,
weird.
I'm not looking at you. I'm saying
right.
I think that's more offensive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's so strange, bro. I mean, I guess they did that too, then to do this match, obviously, but it's just like, it's just weird because, like I'm saying, Joe, like they're not even promoting it like they give a fuck about the matchup. Like he hasn't really been on the TV. They don't talk about it. They set up like 17 different directions for Jay beyond the match, and like he's already connected with like Punk and Sammy and like the Heyman stuff, and then Gunther also, and it's just like there's a clear like disinterest. It's a very weird thing to monitor. And then Logan himself, I forgot where he said this, but he did an interview where they're like, "Why are you not on the TV more?" Or they called him a part-timer or something. And he made it clear that like it's not up to him, like his lack of usage on the TV, as if like they don't call me some weeks. So it's all very strange.
Do you know what else sucks and makes it worse? When he wrestles, they talk about him like he's running for president. They're like, "Look, man, whatever you think of him, he really is good at this, and he's worked very, very hard. You know, you've seen how good of an entrepreneur he is. Look at this prime energy. He's a heel. What is happening?
Like, it feels like they're like talking to like the fan and being like, "Please stop. Like, don't call this a farce." You know what I mean? Like, it's just
I know he is a literal sponsor. I get that. Like, the drink is literally a sponsor.
Yeah, someone said that in the chat.
But you could at least like let me, you know. Like, I don't want Michael Cole lecturing me about how I shouldn't boo him because he's like a hard-working influencer. You know,
Monty, did you see Hunter lash out at the scrum when Logan Paul is referred to as a celebrity wrestler?
Vaguely remember it, but go on.
A fan listed celebrity wrestlers, and they listed him and Bad Bunny and whoever else, and he was like, "Logan's a fucking wrestler, all right? He's not a fucking celebrity wrestler." I was like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, let's just stop talking about it. It sucks.
Yeah, he stinks. He's terrible. I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, man. Ryan, 13.99 Canadian. Appreciate you as always, brother. I know it's easy to dunk on SmackDown because the men's single stuff is a mess, but the tags being solidified and the women's in 2025 have strong TV main events. Hopefully, Julia takes the US title. Julia, obviously being at this SmackDown creatively, is like, timing is pretty brutal on it, but in terms, I guess, in, you know, that division does need, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, I don't know, man. I guess we'll see.
Weird fit, really weird fit.
It is, you know, but my assumption is that it won't just be Julia.
Right,
you know?
That makes sense.
So,
I mean, it needs some in-ring oomph, but like, I don't see who. Julia can have really fun matches, but she's not someone I look at and go, "Oh yeah, she'll have good matches with these wrestlers." You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't. Yeah.
It's a fascinating thing, Joe, because when she was on Raw, she's having good matches with people that she can't beat. And then over here, what's up? Is my
You
sound
sound like you're in a tornado, bro.
Oh, all right, hold on. Joe made a face. I was like, what happened? Hold on.
You see the pain on Joe's face, and like background noise is just too much for you know. It's
He
almost
came
just
on. He talked about the Knicks. He talked about Logan Paul, and then he started like blowing up the headphones. What is happening here? This guy's like, I'm telling you, dude, he's lost it. He's lost the plot. Lost it ever since he got back on the Indies. He's lost it, mate. This is
you're not
special curious, brother.
You're not ready. Listen, I'm popping in self-made, and I'm on a different planet, and dudes are asking me about like my opinions on like the Twitter topic of the day and fucking Collision and SmackDown. I'm like, nigga, I'm watching Mr. Pogo. I don't know what you're doing.
Oh, Ibu did like an announcement. It's like, 'cause I see him pop up on my phone, and it like when they're at everyone and they do their announcements in there. And Ibu was just kind of like, "Listen, bro, this Discord, it's not for the discourse of the day on Twitter, you know. It's meant to be an escape, people, you know."
Did I tag everyone when I wrote that?
I think I seen it pop up on my phone, bro. And I just saw like the first lines, and I was just like, "Here we go."
That is brutal though, when people are like, I guess this is the discourse of the day, and then they're playing a part in making the discourse of the day. You know, it's like, well, it doesn't have to be. If you just shut the fuck up about it, we might all be okay, you know?
Well, even worse, Joe, is when you successfully avoid it, and in your safe spaces when you're just trying to hang out, people tag you and go, they like it's like they're putting a newspaper in your hand. They're like, what are your thoughts? I'm like, leave me alone, man. Fuck. You know? Yeah. Oh my God. People ask me what my thoughts are on the Queen of the Ring business. Yesterday, I'm like, brother, I'm at work, you know?
Dude, there's got to be better things to do in this life, you know? No, that's coming from me. Like,
right. Well, you're doing the things that make you happy. Like you're watching Fandango. You know what I mean?
True.
I've just seen these pop up on my phone. The Final Four meet with Shawn Michaels, WWE LFG.
Oh shit.
You know, isn't it, Ibu?
Yeah, I was actually at the taping. I was at the taping for the finals of LFG. I'm dead ass. I was at NXT in New York, and they taped the finals of LFG.
Oh wait, you're being serious?
Yeah. No, when I was at New York, they taped the finals, and Taker got a huge pop, and Bubba Dudley got a big pop. Yeah. Yeah. 2 stars on both matches, but you know.
That's all right.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I was like, this is not very good.
Did they lock up?
Yeah, both matches they locked up. Yeah.
Good work, Bubba.
Yeah. It was
I think as well, bro, Joe. The finalists on the men's side, it's that Shiloh Hill and that Ibu, what's his name? The big mixed race guy.
I don't remember. All I remember about him is he's very emo.
And it like Jason Troy or some shit like that.
Jasper Troy. He's very emo. He has a kid that they keep bringing up. They keep bringing up that he's a son, and he cut a promo on CM Punk that Punk didn't sell for. Yeah.
But everyone gassed it up on Twitter. But anyway, yeah. So it's them two. So I think these are 2 big guys, Joe. And they're rookies, like rookies. Like they ain't having no good match. You know what I'm saying? Like Taker's coaching one of them. He's like,
Joe, you've seen the wrestling on FCW, right?
Yeah.
The wrestling on this show is like FCW, and you just see like Taker and Booker nodding their heads like that's a good fucking match.
That sounds pretty good. I'll have to watch that. To be fair.
Yeah, I honestly think like this whole LFG thing would have like popped you a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, but you know,
because it is, you know what I mean. You're too much of a snob now. You know what I'm saying?
I am, bro.
Because like, bro, remember like we was talking about Tough Enough a few months ago. You know what I'm saying? We was talking about all these things.
Things have happened. I said to you earlier, right? People don't realize I'm a very tactical poster now, bro.
Yeah, people don't notice it. Yeah,
they don't know. I've studied the Book of Naylor.
The Book of Naylor.
I've added new wrinkles. There are certain things I don't post about to protect my image. I'll be real, guys. I have a team now. You know, they come to me with these things.
I think to maintain the coolness, though, Joe, you have to come off like you're not thinking too deeply about it. You know what I mean? Like it has to like like I'm sure Rob thinks about the brand too, but he comes off like he's just posting whimsically. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you can't break kayfabe and like reveal like how tactical you are. You know?
Yeah.
It has to come off like you just logged on and you're like, yeah, man, this FTR match from Mania 35.
Yeah, I was proud of that one. I was proud of that.
That was good. That was good. I don't know if I have a brand yet of posting. I just tweet things.
Oh yeah, you do.
Oh, you definitely do.
I every so often I'll re-roll my own
fucking
tweets.
deluded, you know. I swear to God.
Wait, what do you
What are
mean?
you
What?
talking about, bro?
Did I say something crazy, Rob?
I don't think I've got a brand of posts. It's like, bruv, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Most.
Do I? Like,
Oh, you have a very prominent brand. Better and worse, brother. Yeah.
Really? Do I just let it fly like this?
Well, I think the most neutral part of your brand is like the essays, right? That's like your thing.
Essay, man.
That splits people. There are other parts to your brand
Uh-huh.
that are,
Yeah, your AEW shill.
Yeah. I'm one of them now. I do that.
Punk sauce.
Well, you know what's funny is that is the perception. Like I'll read like my replies or something. I'll read like certain, the Evo detractors. Like, don't take him serious, man.
Evo detractors. He's got a name from now, Joe. You know, he tries to slide these things in the Evo.
The anti-Evo folks. Yeah.
I've trended repeatedly, and I'll click my name, and it's never positively. Like I'll just click.
Trust me, I've noticed.
Right. I'll click it, and it was like, "Don't take Evo serious." All he does is glaze Tony, and I'm like, "Do I? I mean, I don't feel like I do." I feel like I try to be. I feel like I just try to be honest.
Yeah. No, you are. My favorite type of tweet you do is when you you actually have a very venomous point to make, but you dress it up like you put a fur coat on it. Because the other day we wanted to tweet. This is what he wanted to say. He wanted to go, "Fuck, Okada's nowhere near as good as Hashimoto and Tenru." But this is how he dressed it up. He goes, "I understand that some would prefer Okada. He's got the deeper match catalog. However, I just find these fellows more interesting." And I went, "Oh yeah, good work, brother."
It's always funnier from our perspective. I'm sure for the audience as well, like who know him. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, that's exactly how it played out in his head. Like he just wanted to tweet, "Fucking Okada can't chat to the Eastman, bro." But yeah, he tweeted his fucking paragraph for it instead.
Listen, I understand catalogs and
Respect.
rankings.
I need a brand of posting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm all over it.
Whenever you try to establish a brand, it's very unfortunate.
I don't do anything on my fucking personal Twitter page.
Monty, that Max Caster day was bleak. That was
what Max Caster day.
Max Caster day.
Remember where you were just like, man, this gimmick is terrible.
Yeah, bro, when I stand on that, that man said Max Caster day, I made it like my thing. It's like, bro, I made a tweet. A lot of people disagreed with me, and they can, innit? Do you know them ones? Like, it's just, it's like, but you see the thing, you see, Budo. Like a lot of people would have made that their whole day, though. You know what I'm saying? Like you tweet a hot take, a bunch of people, and like your whole day is just quote tweeting people being like, "Oh, nah, actually, and you just rinse it forever. Like that's the opposite of wanting to do. Do you know what I mean? I don't even like replying to people. It's just that like when somebody that I'm a mutual with, or somebody that I've got like a mutual respect with, replies or something, I feel kind of like not obligated, but I don't want to just fucking blank everybody. Like.
Yeah.
So.
Wait, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, I got you, bro.
So here's my thing. When someone posts something that like gets people riled up and upset, there's a couple of approaches you can do. You can just no sell it, right? And then, or you could double down. And there's one kind of double downing, Joe, that we discuss sometimes that is funny to observe. When you like, when you really just like decided, when you really just lock in and buckle in and go, I don't give a fuck, man. Fuck all of you. Like it's funny. It's kind of honorable and manly. But then there's a version of that too that's really like geeky too. Like
Yeah.
I just, yeah.
So
I
it's
think
all, you have to adjust your game accordingly. It's different looks for different seasons.
Dave Meltzer will just like he'll just no sell.
Well, he's
Yeah,
just
but then sometimes he does what I was just saying, where like he'll make it his whole thing for the day. Where he's just quote tweeting people about the same topic again and again. And he's been doing it this weekend, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, he's he like you said, it is interesting seeing like when especially when it's one of your friends to see kind of how how they deal with the waves. Ibu does the Dave thing now as well. I've noticed because he's got that much, because he's got enough like engagement and stuff on his posts and shit. He can kind of like just go through his replies, and you can tell sometimes that he has a tweet that he wants to say. He's just looking for the tweet to reply to it for, or the right tweet to quote, like, so he can get this particular take off. He 100% does that. I've seen it. Like he'll quote tweet or reply to a tweet that has no engagement whatsoever. Like I don't know how he's seen it. And he's like he just wants to get a particular take off.
Monty, so this past weekend, someone was like, so I tweeted about like Santos segment with the Angel, right? And someone was like, man, they're better than the regular Bloodline. And I just quoted it and went full like Rover and just like evaluated the state of the Bloodline right now. This guy's post. And then there's another one. I like replied to a guy basically like explaining like the failure of how they're approaching this current Saturday Night's main event.
That's what I mean. That's a Daveism, that is, bro. Like, just you've got a point that you want to make, but you just got to find the right person in your replies to to disagree with or reply to. Like, good shit. Dude, respect. Like I said, I need to work on more Twitter brand.
He better not be getting paid for this, bro. We were doing like a deep dive into the modern heel, and now Ibu's just explaining his tweet process.
Yeah, Ibu has completely.
This is outrageous.
Like, yeah,
no.
Like,
this is just a scam. You don't have to pay me for this. It's all right. It's fine.
Good.
I know.
You know what's
he gave you permission not to pay him. He gave you permission.
Yeah, it's all right. I allow
Tommy Dreamer going to Paul Lee and being like, don't worry about it, mate. It's like, yeah, like, I won't.
He's like, trust me, pal. I was not gonna pay you. What's funny, Joe, is I hit up Anna, and I was just kind of like, hey, and she's like, yes, I'm gonna be doing the show tomorrow. And I was telling her about how pitiful the opening minutes of our pod was this last week, right? Just how awful it was. Which you
got on track though.
I re-listened to it back out of curiosity, and it does scan. It's weird. It does scan as intentional anti-humor, even though it wasn't at all. It was just us completely thinking. Like it wasn't at all.
That's the beauty of having a Brit on the show, bro.
Yes, because it feels like it could just be like intentional anti-humor,
dry British song.
Yeah. It was
really tired, bro. I was so tired. I had nothing
so
left.
8 minutes in, our big bombs were breakfast and how was Raw.
Why did we talk about breakfast?
I don't
know, bro. You were cool. I was backstage. I was in Gorilla watching. Like, oof. So to get this on track, someone needs to hit a high spot real quick.
It was really crazy because I used to never think on air with Joe. Like I would just like it was like nothing, And then we're out there just kind of like feeling each other out and circling each other, and it's like we didn't like know what to do. It was incredible. But I tell Anna about this, and I was just kind of like, good thing you're here and like you can really like light it up. And she was just kind of like, she's basically like, in what way? I don't know what you expect me to do. She was like, I didn't watch any fucking.
It was just it wasn't a thing where we need to drastically change our approach or anything. You just had sometimes you're just a little rusty,
No,
like I said, really you got on track in the end. I was saying this to Hilariously, I was saying this to Jason on Thursday, but that Sabu tribute that you ended up doing that went like 70 minutes, I genuinely think it's one of the best things you've ever done on this channel.
It was good, yeah. It was good.
I've been meaning to tell you this as well for about a week.
Which is incredible because in the moment and as I finished, I could not tell how good that was or if people liked it. And I was reading the comments and everybody was just, all the comments were about that. But on some weird perfectionist shit, Joe, I remember two things I wanted to say in that video that made me so mad that I forgot. And I made a mental note to say it on Worldwide. But because I'm remembering it now, I'm going to just say it now. So two things. So part of why Sabu didn't work out in New Japan, Joe, was that they were like, hey, man, so like we want you like firmly as a junior heavyweight. And he was like, I'm not a fucking junior heavyweight. And they're like, yes, you are. Like, you're literally a junior heavyweight. And he's like, well, then I'll get paid less. And he's like, I'll get paid less. Plus, I'll never be able to work your top guys. I should be wrestling Hashimoto. I should be wrestling Keiji Muto. I should be wrestling Kensuke Sasaki because I'm Sabu. I've main evented shows in this country and in America. I'm a big draw. And they were like, hey, go fuck yourself, mate. You know? So, like, it's like one of those things. You know? Like, it's one of those things. And as for WCW, Joe, I wanted to mention, he told Eric Bischoff that he should be wrestling Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, which I'd probably cut a limb off to see that, to be honest.
Just when that conversation goes. Like,
1995 Hulk Hogan versus Sabu. Like, oh my God, dude.
Yes, he told them this. And also, when he got his pay offer from Bischoff, he was basically just like, well, you're offering me per match. I make that month's total on one indie date. And he basically said, I'm pretty big time, guys. And I'm not a cruiserweight. And I should be wrestling Lex Luger, Sting, and Hulk Hogan.
That's the thing with Sabu, though, bro. Like, when you look at his career, especially like listening to you talk about it, listening to like Dave talk about it as well last week, and even like Rob Van Dam and Taz, they did like a great little live stream as well the other day. Feels like he was so big in kind of like the little cult crowds that he was in front of, whether that was in Japan or whether that was in
brother, he was in Kawasaki
ECW.
Stadium main events, my brother.
It's like, no, that's what I'm saying. Like where he was, but it never felt like, you know, like someone like a Bischoff, for example, of that time, or you know, even like New Japan. He just never like, he never crossed over to like being like undeniably. Do you know what I mean? To the point where like WCW or New Japan would be like, yeah, we're bringing you in as a top guy. Even though if you actually looked at his resume at that point, as he was just talking about, it's like, yeah, he has actually done enough to warrant having that kind of ego, you know? But
yeah. It still was the case of the top guys. The WCW he got to had a bunch of top guys that were just not going to wrestle.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, like, that's a mess, mate. You know?
Yeah.
So Brett got there and look what happened, you know what I'm saying?
Like,
so.
Oh, my God.
And the New Japan, like, people, I think, underestimate how seriously they take the size, especially back then, more so now.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But it's like, obviously, Sabu he was such a unique,
right?
Just a unique being, wasn't he? You know.
To your point, Tiger Mask is one of the most spectacular wrestlers ever, and to this day, he's one of the greatest junior talents they've ever had. Satoru Sayama, huge star in the junior division. He told Inoki, like, "Hey, man, we should main event a show at one point." And Inoki basically like, "Get the fuck! What are you talking about?
Right.
What are you talking about?" And Sayama was taken aback. It's like, what do you mean? What am I talking about? I'm a shooter, buddy. Like, I'm a huge star. Like, I'm doing big business for you. Of course we should wrestle. And it's like, no, that's unfathomable. That's unfair. Right. No, we're not doing that. And he left the company.
It's why I think Ghetto doesn't get enough credit for how bold what he did with AJ was. Because it was such a home run, people just take for granted that he just plucked that guy, like, and put the belt on him.
Wait, who?
AJ Styles, when he goes to New Japan.
Oh, yeah.
It's very little reaction. He's coming off being in TNA exclusively for years. And he brings him in and puts the belt on him in his first match in New Japan. That was... People don't realize now because they just go, of course, AJ went and had a great run in New Japan. That was an insane Ghetto. Yeah, dude, that was a crazy Ghetto moment. Like, he used to... I mean, he still does, obviously. It's just
that's
different.
His bag, though, ain't it?
He used to swing crazy big, and it would be such a success that people wouldn't even realize it was such a gamble to begin with, you know?
Yeah, and
Bookers like that anymore, though, is there?
he was a gigantic gambler in general. I mean, 2020 he gambled. Remember when he was like, I want to just push evil and like.
Right. Yeah. Well, the problem with a guy having the success he had, problem with having the success he had is eventually it's a point where you can't say no to him, can you? Because it's like it worked then, it worked with Okada, it worked with AJ, it worked with whoever. That's the challenging part when a guy proves people wrong a lot is they eventually they start going in circles.
It's the whole Jericho thing as well. I know it's completely different.
Perfect example.
He's not a booker, but it's like, you know, somebody proves everybody wrong amount of times. It's just like, all right, we'll let you have this last swing. Okay, we can have one more swing and one more. And it's like, you know, at what point do you say, yo, this guy's washed? Whether it's a booker or a talent.
We say all this to say, my point was like, AJ being the OGP champion as a guy of his size was not the norm. And I think you could look at certain examples, like a Hiromu even. It's still not the norm, is it? You know, still not by any means. So, yeah.
We've lost Ibu.
We seem to be departing there in stages. What was we talking about?
Yeah, technical difficulties. He sent a super chat earlier, so I'm just going to pull that up now.
Good.
God bless. Shot on Spurs, $10. Appreciate it as always. Kind of happy they ended collision early. As watching the Sons of Texas go over would have given me a headache. It's kind of funny how I'm enjoying AEW a lot, yet no title reign currently captivating. Yet find no title reign currently captivating. Yeah, that is interesting. That's another interesting conversation to potentially have, to be honest, as well.
Tony, I think I like Tony. Okay, help me with the champs. I'm really bad at this, as you know. Tony, Mercedes. I think both pretty strong reigns. Then the men's champions, obviously Moxley.
Captivating. No.
Right now, I'm just trying to piece this together. Moxley, Adam Cole. Yeah, fair. And who's the?
Where is Adam Cole, bro? The guys on. I don't know who was tweeting it on the Fortune 4 account, but they were tweeting exactly like what I was. You know when you just randomly think something. You know, like yesterday I was just. Where's Adam Cole? I go on Cage Match and I'm like, he hasn't wrestled in a month. Why is nobody talking about this? Yeah. And then I seen whoever it was on the Fortune 4 account basically tweeted that exact same thing. Like, yo, where's Adam Cole? He hasn't wrestled in a month. Like,
hopefully he's healthy. Hopefully,
yeah, of course.
Yeah, to your point, currently captivating. So I guess you could say, because Tony's kind of in like a... She's just getting rid of potential.
That's not...
She's just kind of, yeah. So I get it. I definitely get it. I mean, I love the Hurt Syndicate as champions, but they're not like doing interesting things. Even though I will say
not with the belts and not like as a title reign.
No. Yes, the MJF thing is the point. I mean, I will say I think I'll probably like.
It is interesting.
Match. I feel like I'll like the Dustin match.
Mark's super divisive. Tony kind of just treading water to all in Texas. Mercedes, pretty much the same. It feels like, you know. But obviously she's in this
the Owen.
As far as the TBS title range, you know what I mean? It's like she's in the Owen. She's probably good chance that she wins the Owen. Not, you know, a lot of people are backing Jamie as well, but there's a good chance that she wins the Owen. Obviously, that's all world title business. The tag belts with the Hurt Syndicate, as you just mentioned, and like they're tied up with the MJF stuff. That is not a tag title feud. Kenny and Okada are just waiting for each other. You know, Cole hasn't wrestled in a month, and the Ops have just won the trios belts. You know, so
yeah.
Double or Nothing season is always a weird time, you know.
Yeah, because of anarchy in it.
Yeah, it feels like it's just like a big, just kind of jumbled swath of people, you know. And then normally, not this year, but normally then you go into Forbidden Door season, which is like, you know, that's what it is. And so like things don't kind of get like clearer, I guess, and less jumbled until like coming out of that.
This is not a criticism because I do not watch closely enough for it to be one.
Right.
The angle that closed Dynamite was like, I kind of lost track of what was going on because there was a lot of people involved. Now again, that's because I don't watch closely. You know what I'm saying? Like it was, if you watch it closely, I'm sure you got it better. But I was watching it like, bro, what the fuck? Like, where's Gabe Kidd doing there? Why is Gabe friendly with? Oh, it was a lot. I couldn't figure it out. But again, that probably says more about my.
I know you caught this as well, Joe. Like when they were doing that finish, And Hobbs does, who was it, to Wheeler you? He gives him like a spine buster onto the barricade.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Joe is just standing there, just staring at Hobbs for what felt like forever, waiting for Gabe Kidd to come down, do the whole, you know what I mean, the briefcase and the briefcase shot. It just felt like Joe was just standing there for ages like an idiot, you know. Yeah, that finish was
I didn't
interesting.
I don't know, man. I think there's a time and a place for some things, and I understand like bringing Gabe into the picture and you're down a man with Pac, and like I'm sure they'll explain it in a way that makes sense. I'm just not convinced that like Samoa Joe versus John Moxley is where you play the Gabe Kidd card. I'll be like, and that's less about this angle and more just like broadly. Like to me, it's like people like care about Gabe Kidd, but he isn't. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm wrong, but to me, it wasn't like the people were going, "Oh my god, it's Gabe Kidd." You know what I'm saying? You got to kind of. I think there's certain spots for different guys. I don't think he has the TV cachet for that. Like,
yeah.
And not yet. Necessarily. He made like one of AEW appearance this year. Like,
dude, I remember when he worked AEW. I think it was last Forbidden Door season where he did like him and Roddy worked a tag on Rampage or something. You know, and this is not a reflection of Gabe Kidd, the talent, which I think we all have different opinions on, and that's fine. But he's just. I think you have to have an awareness of where guys are in terms of like stature. You got 5,000 people in the house to see Samoa Joe and John Moxley fight in a cage. Like, I don't know if this is the time for Gabe Kidd. I just don't know. That was my gut feeling on it immediately. Like,
would you?
I think, yeah.
Would you have been opposed to Joe losing clean? They would have never done that. But would you have been opposed to it?
That would have been what I did. Yeah, I think. I thought this was a chance to kind of recapture some of the kind of scary nature to Moxley, the kind of fear factor is what I'm looking for. I think the idea of Samoa Joe like getting put to sleep in a pool of blood would have actually been pretty striking, and the idea of a Hobbs at the ringside putting that over, like, oh shit, he just put Joe out. You know, I think
especially Joe, since that like we love Samoa Joe. He's the type of guy that can afford to lose clean to John.
He's bulletproof.
To where, like, all right, I get it if you're going to do all this fucking shit for Swerve or, like, a Will Ospreay title defense. Like, that's to be expected, I suppose. But Samoa Joe, you can choke him out, kill him, and then Mox stands triumphant and kind of reestablishes, I can beat people, though. Like, I'm a demon out here.
Yeah,
know?
The idea that, like, it almost makes him scarier that he turns into this monster when he's forced to be one.
Right. You know, and you can use that in promos.
And I don't agree with the notion that wouldn't get heat, because I actually think what they did got very minimal heat. The finish, I mean, not the post-match, the finish specifically. I don't think they got any heat, actually. I think they would have got more heat out of Samoa Joe fighting to the death and hooking the people and making them think he was going to do it. And he can't do it, bro. He ain't beating him tonight. You know, I think this instead got a reaction. I said it earlier, just like, oh, yeah, of course, you know.
It's crazy because I actually was like performatively defending John Moxley on the Wrestle Pierce Raw review. Got into a debate with AO where we were debating who's the worst thing on wrestling.
He was doing it for a good cause.
Yeah, it was John Cena or John Moxley, and I felt like I morally had to take a stand against Cena and say that it's John Cena's the worst thing on wrestling TV. And I will say, in doing this, I may be overestimated right now where John's head is in terms of his knack for actual like match construction. I think because like it's weird. Like every match going in, I don't expect it to be shit. I mean, I didn't expect much of the Copeland match, to be completely honest with you. But going into Orange Cassidy, which I did like that match, going into the Swerve match, and then going into this Joe match, I expected like good wrestling matches. And the Joe one was good, and the Orange Cassidy one was like bordering on great until some of the stuff at the end. But I'm increasingly noticing that like I don't know if it's like the gimmick, but John's kind of overthinking his stuff right now, and it's weird. And it's like there's these things like preventing him from having like great wrestling matches to where I'm like now beginning to question. I'm now at the point where I'm like, is his wrestling brain kind of like hazy in terms of what what he thinks the right approach needs to be for this current role he's playing. I guess.
I don't know. I think
Similar to
part
John,
of
though,
it-
I think. It's like-
yeah, I do think just on promo alone, I'll give me Mox. But
Oh no, of course, yeah. This is not even
No.
about that anymore.
yeah, I think it's an interesting question. I think the matches don't exist in a vacuum, right? So like, I wonder how much heat the Chicago match with Joe has if the people aren't watching it. Like, when is Willie U going to come out? You know?
Yeah.
And that was something Roman run into, ironically, a lot. And that isn't defending him because that is part of his thing. But it's just, I don't know.
just
It's
looking
strange.
at it, isn't it?
Yeah, because I wouldn't describe his approach to Wednesday's match as overcomplicating it. Or I think there's an argument he probably went the other way with it, and I think they could have. I think they actually had more room ahead of them there, and that's not something I would say often about a 15-minute Joe match at this point. But I actually thought they were kind of hurrying.
Yeah.
That's why I watched it multiple times because it was an interesting match. In that I thought it was a good match, but it was less than the sum of its parts, and it felt like there was a disconnect there. And I wrote a review about it that kind of went all over the place, and it certainly wasn't the most coherent piece. But like one of the things I talked about was this is way off the track, but this is what this shows. I think AEW could do a much better job of setting the stage for the big fight. If I had my way, like they did a video package after the first match, which was good. I think they should have done a backstage interview with Joe. I think they should have done, maybe a promo from Moxley. And I also think, formatting wise, give yourself 5% more space before you hit the big man's music.
You know what's funny about all this, Joe, is you're saying this. You know what I watched yesterday?
What's that, mate?
Starrcade '93.
Right. I mean, that's the greatest example ever because everything they do elevates that match immensely.
Yeah.
There was something I pointed out, and this may seem super nitpicky, but I seriously think this is a real problem. I can't believe they still do it. To me, it's like shooting yourself in the foot. When Samoa Joe is beating up Jon Moxley, you do not need to be telling me about All In Weekend, dude. It's really important. I would much rather you take a minute off some other match and give me an event center where you tell me the whole thing. When the world title is on the line and there's a steel cage keeping two of your top guys inside the ring and Samoa Joe is putting fists to Moxley's head, I don't want a graphic in the bottom corner of the screen and you talking about Texas. I'm sorry. I know it's important. There's a time and a place.
The challenger's on the ropes. You know what I mean?
Allow me to immerse myself. Crowds are unpredictable. Chicago probably wasn't the crowd they wanted it to be. Okay. But you have to help the audience in that way. You have to kind of grab them and go this is a big match. Let's be honest. We all know Joe wasn't winning. I want to think Excalibur, Taz, and Ian think Joe's winning. That's what I want
the framing, the presentation of it all.
Yeah,
Like you said, the big fought feel as Ibu brought up. Starrcade '83, flair for the gold. 83, bro. Flair for the gold. Do you know what I mean? That show is about flair and race. You know what I'm saying? And it's all you can have all the promos throughout the show. Like it's just all, and that's a pay per view. It's different to a special TV, obviously, but the framing, the presentation.
I actually think you could argue
all the things Joe's talking about.
I think on a TV, there's even less excuse because let's be honest, if you're doing Joe and Mox on TV, exactly, it's a way bigger deal. And I think that's part of why the house was good. And I think the rating was up. So I think the audience took it as a big deal. And I'm not saying they phoned it in because I thought the announcers did a decent job on the match, It's just, there's a difference between a 6 or 7 out of 10 and a 10. And I felt kind of bad for the guys because I felt like they wanted that match to have a tone that, frankly, for a range of reasons, it was unable to get.
Yes,
it was a match that was chasing a feel that they couldn't get. And again, the crowd is part of that, and that's an unpredictable thing. And every crowd is different, and that's the challenge and the beauty of wrestling. Crowds do change matches, and that's part of what makes it exciting. But I think from a presentation point of view, help yourself. Take a half step back and go, right, All In's our biggest show of the year. Do we need to do this right now? Or Can we have Excalibur screaming and yelling about how Jon Moxley is on the ropes and the toughest guy in this promotion is beating the hell out of him with chops and jabs and all the rest of it? You know, I don't know, man. I think that stuff matters. And like, it's a, you know, and I almost feel like an arsehole when I was in the review writing that, because I understand that Excalibur isn't calling that on the fly, right? Excalibur ain't going, here's the time. Like, obviously, it's in his headset.
But it's still something that takes away from the experience. Yeah. It's worth pointing out, because I bet you, I'll tell you what, Joe. Yes, I bet you if Tony saw a tweet about that, he'll think about that next time he says on the headset, plug double or, you know, whatever, plug all in right now.
Right.
You know, he will think twice about that.
Just somewhere else. And here's how I know this is not just a nerdy thing. My dad is never going to do a wrestling podcast to put a star rating forward. Every single time it's a match he cares about and they put something in the bottom corner of the screen, he tells them to get off. It makes him mad every time.
You know what it reminds me of, Joe? You know how in NBA and Monty, you I'm sure you've seen this watching wrestling.
Monty, he gets really mad.
Monty, I'm sure you've seen this watching basketball. You know what's my least favorite thing about a basketball broadcast, guys?
Go on.
It's the start of another quarter. The game is now in progress. The quarter has begun. And the majority of my screen is the fucking like 30-second interview with a player/coach that took place right after the previous quarter. You know what I mean? Like, like earlier, we just spoke to Jaylen Brown. And then like Jalen's talking to the interviewer, answering generic bullshit questions. I was like, the game
it's not even live. Huh? Like, no, I said, it's not even live. It's like you said, we spoke to him 2 minutes ago. We're not going to play it 2 minutes ago. We're going to do it as the fucking quarter starting.
As the play, you can literally, you'll hear like Derek White, like a guy just hit a shot, and you're just hearing Jason, like you're hearing like the fucking player going like, yeah, we gotta get rebounds. I'm like, get this shit off my screen.
Okay, but here's what makes this way worse. The game is going to end when the fourth quarter expires, regardless, right?
Okay.
I want Ian Riccaboni, Excalibur, and Taz to be convincing me Samoa Joe might choke Jon Moxley out in 90 seconds. It's possible, right? If this is a fight and they're in a cage, Samoa Joe can end the fight at any moment. As soon as you do that, you break my immersion. I already know, let's be honest, I'm not an idiot. I can look at the time. I know how long they're going. Guess what, though? They went live with that match at like 5-6 minutes to the hour because they had an overrun. Part of the advantage of an overrun is we don't know when the match is going to end.
Right.
We don't know. That's the beauty of it. So if Samoa Joe has Jon Moxley on the ropes and Excalibur is putting it over, like, Moxley's done. He's hurt. You know? Obviously, I'm aware Joe ain't winning the match. But you push me half a step forward.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you allow me to lose rather than this is obviously the start of the match. No one's going to win at the start of the match. That's what was so great when Mox and Punk, and I have issues with the way Mox and Punk, how much time they left themselves. They kind of had to hurry, which I think was a problem for that deal in 2022. But the reason when you all reacted so viscerally to that match is it reminded us when you have it in your hands, you can actually do stuff like that. You can shock people sometimes. If the announcers are not even threatening that that's a thing that can happen, why would I possibly take it seriously? There's no urgency, you know? And I felt bad for the boys because to me, they were wrestling in a way that was trying to capture something that wasn't matched in the presentation.
Oh, no, not at all. They're having a match that, like, in a completely different setting and tone and context and presentation of professional wrestling. It comes off totally different. And, you know, I know, like, a lot of these things, like, a lot of my complaints seem like minor or ticky-tack or, like, aesthetic stuff, but it's just, like, I see the color wheel LED barricades and the ads in my ear and then like the commentary and then the whole like look of the show and vibe and then the commentary team and how they talk about wrestling, you know, and like the wrestling that's happening. And then Joe and Mox are like bleeding and throwing punches. And there's a real dissonance there. You know what I mean? So it almost feels like they're trying to have a match that like this era of wrestling TV just doesn't really, it isn't conducive to what like modern American wrestling TV even is, you know?
It's weird, isn't it? It's a weird thing to like, I was listening to Joe Tess and Wade Barrett.
Yeah.
Who I think are a really good team I like. And I was thinking, what percentage of time is Joe Tess talking about how good the match is rather than who's going to win or lose? A lot of the time. Every match Joe's trying to convince me is a great match. He's not trying to convince me that one of the wrestlers are great wrestlers. Because to him it's implied. Because I think it is to modern fans. But like, shouldn't it be more about someone kicking ass? I don't know. Do you get what I'm saying here? It's like,
I totally get what you're saying. And it's like, folks, we're witnessing a classic here. And it's like, I mean, sure, you know.
Right. Like,
That's
yeah.
why Jim Ross had credibility for so long, because he didn't say things like that unless it like was sincerely the case. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Mm,
he'll be like, folks, you don't get this action anywhere else except the National
Right.
Wrestling Alliance. You know, but like generally, he's just
Mhm.
talking strategy and like in the universe, like machinations of the wrestling and like what's happening, rather than like
Yeah.
how great the
Do you think
contest
there's
was.
Do you think there's something to like? You know, Joe was just talking about how Tess is like you're trying to convince the audience that they're having a good match. You know, the comment and a lot of commentators obviously it happens a lot in AEW as well. You know, do you think part of that is kind of like the heel and babyface roles of commentators are nowhere near as strong as they used to be?
Right.
So like the commentators back, you remember like growing up, the commentators would pick a guy. Do you know what I mean? Like my guy's gonna kick your guy's ass. You know, and you don't really get that as much now, do you? Unless like
No.
Don Callis is on commentary.
With that said, though, I think heel commentary is overrated.
No, it is
Yeah.
definitely because it can veer into being very corny, you know. But
I get
like,
what you're
obviously
saying,
there's an
though.
art. There's an art to it, like anything.
I get what you're saying. Like, I think Wade is good, and the reason I use Joe and Wade as an example is because I like that team. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
they're a good team.
Well,
I think Wade is good. I like the team, but I think Wade
I'm not
is
that
good at
big
like.
on Wade. But
See, I actually like Wade a lot. I think he's good at picking. I think he's good at picking certain heels to like attach it. Like he does the thing with Chelsea, which I think is cute, and I think that brings personality out of Joe.
yeah,
I would like Joe to kind of play with that a little more. And I know it's tough for him because he's an actual sports announcer. So he doesn't want to be like, yeah, take that, Wade. Alexa's kicking Chelsea's ass. You know, I get it. It's not his nature. But I think there's room for it on a 3-hour show. I think Nigel is... The reason I would say Nigel is the best color guy to me in wrestling is because I think he spends less time trying to convince me a match is great and more time trying to convince me that wrestlers are worth my attention.
yes.
No one has convinced me I should care about Lee Moriarty more than Nigel. I mean, I'm not a huge Lee fan. I think he's cool. Like, I haven't got any issue with him. But Nigel talks about him in a way that makes me want to reassess him.
Yeah.
You know? He was talking about Lee's work and, like, his style. And I'm going, shit, am I missing something? I need to watch this again, you know? So that's something he's great at, I think.
That's so true, because now that I think about it, when I was a kid, I reassessed how I thought about wrestlers when I heard how Jim Ross would talk about them.
Yes.
I remember watching like Raw in like the 2000s. And I like, this is going to sound insane to someone like thinking in retrospect. As a kid, Joe, right? I thought Shelton Benjamin was just fine. Like I watched Team Angle in real time, and obviously I'm still believing into the kayfabe and stuff. So I'm like, all right, he's just a heel asshole that works with Kurt Angle. But he breaks off from Team Angle in the summer, and I'm watching their tags, and I'm like, he's fine. Now obviously I go back now, I'm like, he's like that team was awesome. But like at the time I'm thinking he's fine. He turns into a babyface, and like he's still not one of my favorites. But Jim, when he moves to Raw, Joe, Jim kept saying like, this guy is maybe like he's the greatest athlete in WWE, and he kept saying that, right? And he kept saying it, and I remember as a kid like going like, let me actually pay attention now, and I'm like, man, he does jump high. Oh my god, that enziguri is like what, like hilarious. I'm like I'm an elementary schooler, and I'm like, you know, he is like Shelton is jumping high, and he is like leaping to the top, this and that, and he would talk about him like that, and a better example of this was Regal, who I didn't give a shit about when I was a kid. Didn't give two shits about. I remember like this was like circa 04, Joe. Regal's getting some TV time in TV matches. And the way Jim would talk about him just being like a tough bastard and a great technician, and the way he could pick you apart. And I remember being like, I guess he's a good wrestler. And like again, because I buy into the kayfabe, I like people based on like how good they are at winning. You know what I mean? If they're not cool, like
the audience, by the way. So do most of the audience, by the way. That's still a thing.
Yeah. Well, Joe, you know what's funny you said? You know what's funny about that? Fraxium got no reaction in their first week or two on SmackDown. They're now getting over. You know why, Joe? They have not lost on SmackDown.
Right. They're winning good matches.
They're 4-0, bro.
Yeah, they're 4-0. It's now the active story that they're speed running, and they're just beating everybody, and they find a way to win. And Joe Tess even said that. He was just like, my God, I mean, this Fraxium team, like, their back will be against the wall. They just figure it out.
People like winners, man. That's like
Yes.
They'll never change.
Yes. Like, if you win a lot, especially in thrilling fashion, at some point people go, all right, these guys are the man.
Dude, I remember, I'm sorry to do a Good Brothers bit in the middle of a real conversation, but seriously, I remember Arn's podcast, which was very interesting for a bit. Someone asked him why the Good Brothers didn't go over in WWE, and he goes, go back and look at the records. Did they win 3 matches in a row at any point during their run? And Conrad was like, I don't know. I have no idea. And Arn goes, okay, now the next thing to do is find me one tag team that did win 3 matches in a row on WWE TV. He's like, there's about 2 of them in the last 10 years. You ain't getting over it, like there's something to be said for just winning matches.
And I'll leave the podcast by saying it helped the Usos a lot, especially in the bloodline when they really unified the tag belts and dominated. And the biggest and easiest example, and a lot of people get mad about this, but it's part of what helps her. Rhea Ripley doesn't lose matches, and she shouldn't, and it adds to what she has going on. And that's why, hilariously, Joe, I'm watching the Raw main event last week, and Monty, genuinely, like, I didn't deep it or even bat an eye. When she gave Julia Riptide, it didn't even like spark a I didn't even have like Julia did a job. Like, I didn't even think about it. Like, I was like, yeah, like Rhea Ripley wins the match. Bro.
But to your point, sorry to jump in on you, but like, EO, bro, like, we all love EO. And the audience has always been pretty receptive to EO, and she's always been in pretty good standing with the audience. But like, her winning the title back again and then winning at Mania again, her just being a winner, bro, like, it's helped her. She's more over now than she's ever been.
Absolutely.
You know,
Michael Jordan got over because he won.
Yeah, man. People like winners. And there are some characters you can, like, there are exceptions to that, right? Like, the appeal of Mick Foley was not that he was a winner. Right. He was Mick Foley.
Right.
You know, AEW, for example, Eddie Kingston. But, like, they're the exceptions. And when guys start to get... There's an obvious example of this on SmackDown right now. When there's guys who start to get crowbarred into that of like, you don't need to win, bro. You're over there. Love your catchphrase. Be very careful, because next thing you know, you're losing to JC Mateo. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Y'all have a good one.
Before you jump out.
Yes.
Gotta do the right thing by these people. Big Hoss 499. Ibu, when will Mariah debut, and when do you think MJF goes to WWE when he's done everything? Mariah, Ricky, and Theory for the Dangerous Alliance.
Like, what do you want? Like, I just, you know what's funny is
just answer the questions as honestly as you can. I guess
these are intentional ribs, and they still like bother me. It's weird. I'm in Self-Made yesterday watching like Hayabusa, and the dudes are like, "Hey, Ibu, when are we watching Jack Swagger? Ibu, hey, when's Mariah coming? Ibu, hey," I'm just like, "Oh, please, I want to have a good night, you know? Like, I just want to have it."
When do you think MJF goes to the WWE? Is crazy.
It's insane. What the fuck?
And now, there's one more. Go on.
In the case of Mariah, probably the similar time of when Julia showed up last year would be my guess.
Okay. Yeah. And then Darren Walker, £5. Appreciate it. This Snapchat, you know. This super chat is for this super chat is for Ibu. Can he explain the Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese discourse?
It's a muddied mess that I'd honestly rather avoid, and it's awful. But the bottom line is, Caitlin Clark is an athlete who's excellent. She also is an athlete that resonated with a part of the American public that had been disenfranchised with basketball for quite some time, mainly for social reasons. And they identified with Caitlin Clark. And there was a pushback within her league to her because of the feeling that she's benefiting off of a league that was built off the backs of the hard work of the people that already exist in a league that was predominantly black. And she brought a ton of attention to a league that didn't have that level of attention prior to her. And it's this weird paradoxical situation where people are fighting her where maybe they should be fighting something beyond her. And then there's like the political aspect of the situation where the people that are, you know, veering towards Caitlin Clark They don't like the makeup of the WNBA and how they approach things and the supposed wokeness of the league. And it just creates this really, really awful situation now where
America, man.
America, yeah, where Angel
bro,
Reese,
it's just
there's
what
a
you're saying to
magnifying
me is
glass on
just
every
straight
Chicago.
up.
There's a magnifying glass on every Chicago Sky versus Indiana Fever game. And anytime there's a fucking foul in a game that nobody would bat an eye for an NBA game, now it has to be about the racial dynamics of America and everything that happens in between and the perceived behavior of black women or, you know, the racism that white people like that Caitlin Clark face in the league. And then you get these like grifters and hustlers and race hustlers popping in on Twitter to take advantage of this dynamic, and then it's just awful on every side. LeBron James praises Caitlin Clark on Twitter, and then he is called certain things by certain. It's all an absolute mess. And as a sports fan, I look at Reese and Clark and I go, man, this could be a Bird and Magic situation. They faced each other in college. There was a bit of a rivalry there. There's new excitement to a league that didn't have some excitement. This could literally be like the 1980s NBA situation here. But it can't be that, and it can't just be basketball because this is America.
It's America, and modern America has to fucking politicize everything, bro.
It's politicized.
Everything. There can be no rivalry. There can be no nothing without it getting politicized in America.
And it all has to swallow itself. And I got to see fucking Robert Griffin III, former football player, post a video and says, he goes like, looking at her face, Angel Reese sincerely hates Caitlin Clark. Let's explore this. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, it's ridiculous, bro.
It's
what
awful.
you got going on for that? And
I gotta leave.
Yeah, man. I think those are the only super chats strictly for you, anyway. So
awesome. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for allowing me to come in and barrel through the sincere conversation you guys are having. Kind of what I do. I bought me some brown sugar. I'm gonna use it to cook today, and I'm gonna enjoy my evening. Subscribe to the Self-Made Discord, folks, if you're so inclined to do so.
What's your prediction for Indiana, bro?
I want to believe in the Knicks. I think we can beat them in 6 or 7 games.
Listen, I ain't even gonna say what I'm thinking on a public platform because, especially when he moves around, don't want to get him too fired up. Do you know what I mean?
No. You know what I will also say before
listen,
I go?
man.
I am very deeply resentful of the public victory laps Triple H is taking over a certain SmackDown angle, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
You know,
I feel bad for you about that.
Joe, you saw that tweet, right? Where
you must feel like Oppenheimer, right?
Brother. All these people tweeting like, man, WWE predicted this. Man, WWE really they really put together a really cool thing there, WWE. Man, that was a really cool SmackDown angle. That was a happening angle, and Hunter being like, it's what we do.
It's crazy, bro. They will credit Bruce for what he fucking did there for.
Come on, man.
What do you think should be the rollout? Should I
No, you shouldn't. You should leave and make a dinner, bro.
No, I mean now. I mean should I just fucking tweet what happened? Should I wait till certain people get what?
Let's see how the series plays out.
Fair.
You do at the start of the series, bro.
Take
just
care,
before game 1.
God bless. See you guys tomorrow for Worldwide.
Yeah, man. Good shit. All right. Keep it out of here. Boom. Here we go. All right, Joe. I think we got a couple super chats left still. Stuff $2. Appreciate it. Why are WWE fans so defensive of R-Truth versus Cena? Because I just saw it's the fans that are defensive of anything, bro. To be honest, they were same names. So, I haven't seen any good, any great argument to why this should not be criticised at all. It's just
people should just be more comfortable saying, "I don't want to see it," and just leaving it at that. You don't have to fight about these things, right? There's stuff I want to see that no one else gives a fuck about. Everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Ryan699, people complain about Gunther's past few months, but he generated real heat, busting open Jimmy and choking out Pat. That tells you people care to boo him. Yeah, they definitely do. He walks along very well, as we were talking about earlier. Darren Walker, £5. Appreciate it as always. Monty, after Solid Monster last week, any more special guest presenters coming up? Yeah. There's gonna be a few more. Some of them have been on the channel before. Some of them will be new to the channel, I guess. I don't have a whole list of people. Of course, I'll keep you guys updated though. But if there's any people that you want me to like get in touch with, or like any other like podcasters, live streamers in the space, I don't even care if even if they're a little bit unrealistic or something, because you never know, do you? Let me know, who do you want to see on the channel, because I know, like, the Recipe's audience, bro. Like, we're not. It's not. You can be a tough crowd. You get me, guys. Like, we couldn't just get kind of your typical like generic WWE streamer on or something. Do you know what I mean? It's like because you guys will just eat them up, bro. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we've got I do try and be careful with that, because I don't want to just like bring people on the channel because they've got a following who I don't think you guys or our audience would like really fuck with. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, guys, I'm more open than ever when it comes to like suggestions, because this WrestlePurist Live thing. Obviously, me and Joe will try and do our weekly one, and that'll be on different days. Some days so far, I think we've done Wednesdays, we've done Sundays. We're all over the place, bro. I'm also trying to do like other WrestlePurist lives with like people like Solomon, so try and get him on like once a month or something like that. And like I said, other people in the space, some of them that have been on the channel before, and even people like who you used to seeing on fucking WrestlePurist, bro, like AO. Do you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't do like a weekly show with us. Do you know what I mean? So like, it would be good to like do stuff with him, every now and again as well. So it's like, I'm trying to do more weekly streams, and of course, I'm trying to network a bit more as well. So again, any people that you want to see on the channel, other wrestling streamers, even if it's just people on Twitter or something that you think you think they've got good takes, thoughtful opinions, or whatever like that, you think it could translate well to a podcast. Do you know what I mean? Where do you think all those guys got started? Do you know what I mean? Where do you think I found Eboot, bro? Where do you think I found Rob and Chris? It was like in Twitter Spaces and shit. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, man. Keep an eye on these I don't know, guest co-hosts and stuff that I'm gonna be trying to do with WrestlePurist Live on top of what I do weekly with Joe. And leave comments, send me DMs, send the WrestlePurist page DMs about like people who you want to see on the channel. You know what I mean? Alright. San, €5. Even though Booker T is very bad and annoying, the way he would hype Roxanne up as the next big thing and was the best wrestler was always great. Yeah, I agree. Even though Booker T is very, but the way he would talk about Roxanne, and then also just knowing that, like, obviously he trained her and stuff like that, just like knowing as a fan, knowing that they have kind of that connection as well, also added to what you've just mentioned in the super chat. So.
He definitely can. Like, when I was watching JC's matches more, he would always like do a great job of putting her over. I thought, as a heel, like he would give her more cred than she often had in TV. So yeah, he can do that for sure. He's just Booker's all over the place, right? Like he really is. He's a very odd cat, and like it's hard to get a read on how he approaches it. I think he just goes there and fucking riffs, and some of the stuff he does, you kind of find embarrassing. Some of it's funny. Some of it's actually effective. It's like he's all over the map, dude. This Booker.
Yeah, he does tend to be pretty good with wrestlers that he likes, as in genuinely likes their wrestling, and isn't just like popping for like, because like people always bring up like Stephanie and stuff because like that's such a blatant one, and obviously he probably does rate Stephanie as a wrestler as well. It's not all just about her live show charisma or whatever the fuck. But even some of the guys, do you know what I mean? Like some of the guys will be, oh, look at this guy, do you know what I mean? It's like he's just chatting shit. You know what I'm saying? Like he's just. But when he actually rates somebody like as a wrestler, like obviously Roxanne is like the peak of it. Do you know what I mean? Because of all the reasons we just said. But you mentioned JC, like he rated JC, bro. Like he actually paid attention to our matches. Then on the flip side, when there's wrestlers that he's not that interested in, he's really bad at hiding it. He's really bad. Sometimes he like buries people, but like
I just think
Booker's all over the place, bro.
he shouldn't be on. To me, he shouldn't be on a show that has like angles and stories. He's Dusty, man. Like Dusty was like that. Dusty would do those studio shows and he'd record them at like 10:30 a.m. and he would just bury people, just pop himself. It was funny. Like there's room for that. I just don't know if it's on a show where they're like trying to achieve things. Remember that one where they turned someone heel and Booker was like, "Why?" he just didn't fit over it all. I think he would be great on like a if WCW Worldwide existed today, Booker would be a god on that telecast, but it most certainly does not. For a range of reasons.
All right, let's do that was the super chats. Let's do the last bit of sweeping and we'll wrap it up. So Cena vs R-Truth had its Saturday night's main event. We've already spoke about that. Priest versus McIntyre, steel cage. They're getting as much as they can out of this, aren't they?
Yeah. Hopefully
it could be a good match though, of course it can. Don't think either of them are
the show's gonna need it to be good, I think. Right? I say it's got the tag too, which is gonna be good.
Yeah, the tag is the big one, isn't it?
Yeah.
The tag's a big one. Because the two world title, well, Cena's not a world title match technically. Well, it's not. No, technically about it, it's just not.
I hope the tag match gets time. I hope it's like a collision.
Oh, yeah, it should do.
Yeah, should do. But
should do.
Skylines, things of that nature.
Jeff Cobb's debut on SmackDown was weird, wasn't it?
So
Did you see any of it?
I saw clips, but I can't.
That's enough, though, bro. Honestly,
yeah, I couldn't. I saw a clip of him like standing in center ring, and I can't. I don't know if it is a rib, but it fucking looks like one, doesn't it? Jesus wept. I can't. I mean, he's an actual shooter, but is there a way to dress him in a less sort of flattering fashion and let him wrestle like that? I just can't even.
Bro, I couldn't get over it. Everything about his presentation was so weird, and you could argue wrong, obviously, because obviously with the week before when they do the angle, and he like takes out LA Knight and whatnot. Yeah, so okay, that's quite an impactful main event angle, you know. But it's like, okay, this week you're almost expecting him to be like, you're gonna do like a big angle with him. Or like a big showcase or something like that. But it's like, no, he just kind of comes out as like the third man with Solo and Jacob, and he's just, you know what I mean? He's just standing like, you know, the way that Tama would or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, and he's just standing there, and Solo does, you know, welcome my good friend JC, and it's not like that segment wasn't even about him. Like at all, it was about building tension between Solo and Jacob. Like that was the goal of that segment, you know. And then obviously it gets interrupted, and then it bleeds into an impromptu match, which is unannounced. JC Jeff Cobb still in his street clothes, and he wrestles it really kind of like tame. It's not Jeff Cobb. He's not throwing the big Jeff Cobb bombs that you're expecting Jeff Cobb to do, because he's got some really impressive offense, bro. Do you know what I mean? The shit he can do, even in 2025, can still wow the WWE audience, you know what I'm saying? And he wrestles almost like this neutered style. It almost felt like, you know, when people get signed to WWE in like 2017, you're like, oh, he's not going to be the real version. Then like Triple H's WWE kind of almost like killed that narrative, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then I feel like this Jeff Cobb thing has been like, it's almost like back to that bullshit. It's like you give him some shit name, like JC Mattel. It's not that bad, you know. But obviously, it's not Jeff Cobb's fine, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong with Jeff Cobb. But anyway, you give him some new name, and you kind of kill his aura in a day, in one show. You just kind of kill his aura, and he's just third fiddle to this.
Yeah,
this bloodline stuff. So it was really weird, bro. Really,
the impromptu thing pissed me off because like. We were streaming something else, and I was just like, people were asking why they had him do that, wrestling street clothes, and folks were like, well, to be fair, it's impromptu. It's like, he isn't real. He isn't real. Yeah, like he isn't actually impromptu. Like that's the way they decided to format the show so that he was out there in street. Why would you want him to be out there wrestling like that? Jeff Cobb is physically, you know, obviously very, very impressive, but it's visual, isn't it? You know, like. Jeff is not tall. And he's not gonna like jump off the page the way like remember when Tama took his fucking shirt off when he debuted and he just goes like 8-pack? You know, that matters, right? To an audience that's never seen you before, that matters. Tama's also doing all this weird shit where he's like twitching and fucking spasming out there and making sounds. And Jeff is he's just a bloke standing there in a shirt. And it's like, well, I know Jeff Cobb is a killer. You have to treat it like it's, you know, that's just not how you introduce a guy. Everyone's saying,
Can't be out there in a singlet, man. It's like, yeah, it's just weird. Like, you put him in a t-shirt, no belly. You know what I mean? It's like the belly. Listen, the belly's important, bro. You know, because like seeing him out there with his big belly in his singlet, his neck fits. He's like fucking massive as well.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like all these different things. It makes it even more impressive when he's able to do a moonsault, a standing moonsault, which he can do, or he throws somebody around, because it's like, especially to that WWE audience, they might just think, yo, this guy's not an athlete. And then when he does that shit, he's like, whoa, you know? And that's part of his, you know, that's part of the sell with Jeff Cobb, I always thought. So if you just have him out there in a t-shirt, he just kind of looks like a short, fat guy. Do you know what I mean?
It was crazy.
It's crazy.
Like, I just don't. I was surprised they dressed him like that for his debut. If you'd have told me they were going to have him wrestle like that for any moment in time, I'd have been like, "There's no fucking way." It just didn't stand out, and it's very strange. It was one of those situations where it's like they're also beating LA Knight. It's like, fuck, Jesus, man. Like, do they have? I mean, is there anything else they can do with him to just beat him every week? He lost on the pay per view. Like, he's just, I don't know. I find it all to be bizarre. It's hard not to kind of be cynical about like what value they really see him in him, right? We're being honest. Like he was treated this week like a guy who they just kind of went, well, he can play a role for a bit. That's the way it felt. Maybe that's wrong. Hopefully it is. Jeff's obviously not a young guy, so it's not a big stretch to think that. I was stunned because I saw the opening segment. I was stunned at how much he was just a backdrop to Solo and Jacob's thing. I couldn't believe it. Like they literally were just doing their dynamic and he was just standing there. Mm-hmm. It was bizarre. So I don't know what the deal is with that. It's a shame. Not because I think Jeff Cobb's going to be the world champion or some sort of game changer. But it's just like, give him a chance. Fuck, right? Just
use your asset, bro.
Yeah.
That's always what it's like for me. So world championships and shit like that. So it's whatever, but you can frame and present people the way that, based off what we've seen in their careers, the way that they should be, or at least resembling that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody who's watched Jeff Cobb, you know, and enjoyed Jeff Cobb over the past 10 years, longer. Jeff Cobb's been around for a minute. But I don't think anybody would look at him and be like, yeah, let's put him in a t-shirt and wrestle like a really slow match on SmackDown unannounced and be the third person as a backdrop in. Yeah. I don't know, bro. But
I think what's insulting about it is it's so lazy in it creatively. You know, like someone pitching that and there not being any rebuttal to it. Yeah, it can kill 15 minutes. Like, it's just bad, dude. I think there's part of the frustration people have with the creative is that like it feels like there's this effort to convince people that their creative system is really intricate, you know, and like scientific. And then sometimes you watch stuff like that and you go, man, that weren't even thought about.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah, how did no one even put their hand up and go, why the fuck are we doing this with Jeff Cobb? Why don't you have like a 5-minute win or something over someone? It's just, very strange. Very strange.
Our girl Lex is in the Money in the Bank, John.
She is. I'm sure she's thrilled. No, she's hustling right now, dude. She seems like she's pretty into it. Pop me huge. Man.
The effort she puts in. She's going for it, bro. She's back.
She's an interesting wrestler to watch right now because like she's really over.
Twisted Bliss, 2 weeks in a row, Joe.
Does a near fall too. What's going on there? She's using it as a falsie, brother.
Yo, this what I'm saying, bro. She's a real work. Like I said, the effort. You know what I'm saying? She's back, bro. You know, Twisted Bliss. And then obviously she does the Sister Abigail finish now. You know, no one's kicking out of that, Joe. No one's kicking out of that.
Every time she hooks that Sister Abigail, people go they go crazy. She's a like
Apart from
charming
that,
watch in the sense that she's like visibly toughing it out because she's not wrestled really at all in the last 2 years, right? And it's like
mm-hmm.
you can tell it's pretty tough on her physically at this point. It was I think she's enjoying it. Dude, did you see she had like her elbows, she had like plasters on her elbows. So
hey, man, it's
I love shit like that. I talk to Eva about it all the time. When you see a wrestler, we had our fun with the stand-up sharp and fight me run because it was funny to us. But like, she looked like she'd rob it anywhere else in the world at times. Unfortunately, she didn't like she was into it at all. It's cool seeing her.
And then she'd randomly drop a great performance on a random
and then
TV
the next
match.
time she was completely. You didn't know what she was going to do on that run. She's really enjoying it. Like I've said this a million times, so it's probably boring. I'm not here telling you she should win the Money in the Bank with the world champion. I just think there's absolutely stuff for her to do on TV. I would probably use her more as a promo than fucking in ring. She wrestles on every TV that she goes to. So I'd probably do other stuff with her. But I think the Money in the Bank is an interesting choice. My guess is they just want some star power in it, right? And so you get her in it, and people love her, dude. She's killing it. What's up? Seemed alarmed.
I was gonna check. Someone said that the Alexa Marathon's still on YouTube.
It is, yeah.
It's been going. How long has it been going? It's been 24 hours, hasn't it?
Yeah, my understanding is it's like 3 hours, and they just loop it, so you just watch.
Did you catch any of it, Joe?
I did. Yeah, I tweeted a clip from it. Did you see? I tweeted a Billy Kay highlight clip. That's the only thing I saw from it. I put it on, and they were doing the Iconics match, and I fucking howled at that making the cut of the best of comp. Not because it's even like bad, but it's like a pre-show tag, you know? Yeah. Fucking awesome. The best. It's full matches too. Like it's like she's Masawa, you know? Yeah.
Oh man, I can't. I don't know. It's criminal. I'm not proper looking forward to seeing how like this run plays out for her.
Yeah,
because she's so over.
of course.
You know what I mean? So it's like they've got to do something now. You know, because because obviously she came back at the Rumble, huge pop. Do you know what I mean? Didn't do nothing with her. And she did the Elimination Chamber, didn't do much with her. Blah 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 blah. And it's like now that they've brought her back, it's like for them not to do anything with her again, they're just asking for abuse. You know. So it's like they have, and obviously they've already planted seeds with Charlotte and stuff like. It does actually look like they're doing stuff with her.
I agree.
She's in Money in the Bank, blah blah blah. She's getting a bit more time to actually talk and stuff in backstage segments and shit, and interact with other characters. So yeah, I'm interested to see what she does, and I'm interested to see what her level of motivation is for these things.
Yeah.
So, I even when she's going through the motions, I'll still pop for Alexa Bliss, as you guys know. So.
She seems like she's enjoying it. I'll say this, dude. It's fucking cool that she's like flying to TV with her like 1-year-old daughter and kind of there and wrestling. I think that's fucking awesome. Like regardless of who's doing it, you know, it's just that pops me that we're at that point. We should have at that point a long time ago, but unfortunately we were very much not there. So it is cool. And I think obviously a big part of her motivation very clearly is, you know, I think her being. Not being around when Bray passed was like a very real thing for her. So I think she wants to do that stuff, and we'll see if they ever get to that. I'm starting to have my doubts, to be completely honest. I don't know. There's a role for her, man. I think it's important for women's wrestling that there are characters on the show that are not, you know, it isn't just title programs. I don't see much value in her being in title programs, but I see value in her being on the show, and I think if you're a good wrestling booker, you could do it occasionally. But you get what I mean.
You could do. I'm just thinking. Look, you could say if you got her rocking and rolling. Do you know what I mean? And like I've liked her recent output, to be honest. But obviously, let's not get like carried away and think that oh my god, she's better than she's ever been or anything like that. But I'd say if she does keep up the momentum and she just get rolling. Yeah. I think something with her and Tiffany could be really good.
Yeah.
But it also depends on, it's like, where does this run go? Like, what character does she take on? Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, that matters a lot, because it's like, I don't want to see like Lily Wyatt 6 Lexi against Tiffany.
No.
You know what I'm saying? No, I want to. But if she's not going to be the goddess again. I don't think that's going to be a thing. But maybe she does that. Maybe she does that thing where she's just like a little bit of everything. You know?
That's why I think she kind of suggested that's what this is supposed to be. Is
a
like
bit of everything.
Yeah, I think when you're at that point in your career where you've been around that long, it's like you can kind of do that, can't you? Really, because people just go, they just like the person, and I do think there's a lot of story there you could delve into. Obviously, as we talk about with Charlotte, so like I think that's where I would go. That's really tough on the Wyatt 6. I have no idea what this Charlotte stuff means for the Wyatt 6. I don't know. But it is an enticing direction because Charlotte needs something, dude. Like, it's a place you can put both of them that I think would be very beneficial for both of them. So this will all end very poorly when they just have a match in like 3 weeks and that's the end of it. But
come on, man. Charlotte thinks deep about creative, bro. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. I can see it, you know. I can see them as a babyface tag team. Very much see it. I don't even have to squint. I can just see it. I'm just looking straight ahead. I can see it, you know.
Twine Mac in the chat, my favourite Bliss quote is that she once said, if the women ever main event WrestleMania, it should be a battle royal. That definitely sounds like
Obama's brother. Well, she has better quotes than that, though.
No, she definitely does, but like that definitely does sound like something Alexa would say. What's your favourite Alexa Bliss quote?
It's not really a quote so much as when they won the tag straps and Kathy Kelly announced they would be headed to Saudi Arabia to defend the World Tag Team title, and she just went, "Ask you, take it away."
I like it when she talks about not wanting to be world champion again.
Yeah, that was fucking awesome. I've done it.
I'd have to find that.
Yeah. She said it multiple times. I remember she said that after she dropped it to Ronda, she was like, "Oh, let's just do something else. God, so boring. Extra luggage." I don't think people realize too. Like, she got signed 12 years ago. I didn't realize that until like this week or last week when someone tweeted it. 12 years, dude. It's fucking.
The NXT run to me is like. It's like, is it even a real thing? Did that happen?
The NXT run?
Yeah, like, is it? I feel that way about a lot of the I guess you would say earlier NXT people. Mm-hmm. You know, especially the ones who weren't like super prominent, like in NXT. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like yeah, everyone always talks about like Sammy and KO and like, you know, Neville. And people, do you know what I mean? And people like that, because they were super prominent in NXT. But like people like, you know, Buddy and what's his fucking name, bro? Buddy, like, yeah, Wesley. Do you know what I mean? People like that is like that happened. You know, like,
I truly believe this. I think the hardcore fans' perception of her would be way different if there was no draft and she stayed in NXT for longer. Because if you watch what she's doing in NXT before she gets called up, she's starting to like really get going. She's having real matches. Like her and Bayley have a really good match. It's better than any of the main roster matches they had in NXT. And because the draft, they had to like rush people, didn't they? Like Carmella, Nia, and Alexa all just got thrown up because they needed people from the draft because they're two rosters. And I think because of that, like her being such a rapid ascent, I don't think people realized that, like, they always saw her as someone that was going to be a big deal for them, but people weren't ready for it because she wasn't like a top star in NXT. Does that make sense? You know, it's like people kind of, it crept up on them out of nowhere. She got called up and was the champ 5 months later. That's why people think of her as like some old vet now, you know, which is hilarious. But the reason is because she was...
That was a discourse, wasn't it? People calling her old. And the people
which I
like
mean,
younger people like Chelsea should get chances. It's like
Yeah.
Chelsea's older than her. Chelsea pointed this out herself.
yeah, I mean, obviously it's stupid, but like, I think the actual reason beyond people like that, they're just idiots.
It's just perceptions,
Is
isn't it?
she was world champ at like 25 years old, I think. Like,
Yeah, that gets it's funny that because it's like it's interesting as well because like, when you look at Sasha, like Sasha Banks in WWE, you know,
yeah, same. Yeah,
it's like she ticked a lot of those like boxes at a young age, much like
Yes.
much like Alexa has, but it's just seen differently. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
always brought up with Mercedes Sasha, like oh she's already achieved this and she's only 30. Do you know what I mean? It's like
hmm
you know what I mean? Alexa already had a Hall of Fame career,
Yeah.
but what she's 33 now. You could have put her in the Hall of Fame. Like you would have said she had a Hall of Fame career 3, 4, 5 years ago. Do you know what I
She
mean? So
probably
it's
like,
like
when did she sign with him? When she was like 21 or 22? It's crazy. I don't know, man. I think I think everyone has to. Everyone gets pitted against each other and shit, and it's like, I think part of the fun of wrestling is everyone has their own path, don't they? You know, it's like Alexa Bliss and Roderick Strong existing in the same industry is funny to me. It's part of why wrestling's sick, you know. Like, like they're two wrestlers I've watched for most of my fandom, and they do different. They're not even in the same thing, are they? Really? Like they're in different worlds. But I have part of my fandom has been around them at like different times. You know, it's to me that's the fun of it. I remember thinking about that a lot when Bray passed. Of like, when Bray passed, I got a much greater understanding, and it's sad to say this, but it's the truth. I got a much greater understanding of how popular he actually was. I knew, but there's something to that, right? And I remember thinking about how would you possibly compare his career to someone like, you're doing like a list of wrestlers. Like, here's Kawada, here's Bray Wyatt. It's like
that's what makes
you
both
can't.
of them special.
Exactly.
Though, do you know what I mean?
Man. It's fucking awesome.
Symbolic as well.
That's what makes wrestling fun, right? Like, yeah,
Bray was super symbolic, so
for sure.
No,
Yeah,
Kawada is as well, but he's
right. But the idea they can both exist and you
exist
can
in the same medium.
Yeah, and you can like both. Like, to me, that's so awesome. I remember when I was on Fightful, someone was like, "How do you like?" The example I just used was what they said. They were like, "How can you like both Alexa Bliss and Roderick Strong?" And it's like, I don't know, man. Like, and that's kind of the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the fun of it. And I also think a lot of being a fan is when you start watching someone too. Like, remember I said earlier about mid-2010s? The first NXT TV I watched was Alexa's last match as a babyface in NXT, which was 10 years ago, like last week or something. Because I heard Joe was coming in, so I started watching. So I've basically seen her whole run. To me, that's part of what makes you a fan of a wrestler, Like, that's the way my brain works. So it isn't to me about, I don't look at wrestlers and assess them as like, is this my type of wrestler? It's just like, you watch when you watch and you get, you follow certain characters go away and yeah, that's the fun of it.
It's too like widespread of a medium, isn't it? To have one type of wrestler, or even having like the wrestler has to tick these boxes, because there's wrestlers that tick boxes that you didn't even know were on the list.
Yeah,
like a Bray Wyatt,
right?
Do you know what I mean? Like for Bray, for example, like again, it's like how can you compare him to anybody? But at the same time, it's like I think delivery wise, like I genuinely think he's one of the greatest talkers of his generation. Just straight delivery.
Oh, I agree.
So it's like he does have comparable qualities, but it's just part of a package that is so unique.
Did it differently.
Yeah, but he's special. Do you know what I mean? Like Bray was special, and I understand people that like did not enjoy his work.
Right.
That's the other part of it as well. It's like I completely understand people who did not enjoy his work at all.
Yeah. But even people that are more conventional, like for example, I think Dave Bautista is fucking awesome, But in my brain, I don't think of Dave Bautista the way I think of like Tenru. Wouldn't mind watching them wrestle, what I'm saying? But like in my head, they're different. They scratch different itches, I guess is the point. Like some wrestlers, I just think are fucking cool. And that's a good thing of it. So I,
Yeah, I mean,
you know, I
cool,
watch.
captivating, charismatic.
Yeah.
It can be any of those things, and that's the
You
beauty
have
of wrestling. Like,
you have a WCW show on, and Harlem Heat come out, and it's like, fuck, I love Harlem Heat. It's like, how many matches of theirs do I like? Like one, none, you know. But they're fucking cool, bro. I like seeing them on the show. You know, it's all part of it, man. Like I just think this is where like we're literally doing a potion out in the air, but I just think it's cool sometimes to like think about shit like that. I find anyway. I feel like I'm talking now like I'm on drugs and I'm not, but maybe I should be.
maybe. No, I think there is something to it. I think it's because like wrestling is so, again, because it's so like widespread.
Yeah.
It's like so many different things can be useful in wrestling. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas in other sports or
Right.
forms of entertainment, there's very specific things that you have to be good at to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I don't know, if you're in the NBA, you know,
Right.
you got to be good physically. You got to be quick. You got to be able. Do you know what I mean? You got to be able to jump. You got to be able to block. You got to, you know what I mean? You have these physical qualities. Blah 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 blah. Whereas in wrestling, it's like one guy's quality might just be being a fucking shooter, bro. Do you know what I mean? Then like another guy's quality might be fucking just simply the way that their voice sounds or something.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Or it might just be they have a cool vibe to them, like Harlem Heat.
They have cool ring attire,
You know?
or some shit.
Yeah, so, literally, like, and it's that thing can then that can be like cultivated into being a real thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, gets them actually over. So it is interesting, and it's like I said, there's so many different things that can be. It isn't just this guy's good at wrestling. It's like he might just do one move. He could just be one move. Do you know what I mean? Like, look at fucking Scotty 2 Hotty, bro, with the worm. Do you know what I mean?
They were so over. Fuck.
You know, Scotty 2 Hotty was a very good wrestler, don't get me wrong, but he was also a very good wrestler in a company at the time where he did not mean fucking dick. Do you know what I mean? Like, him and Brian Christopher having good matches every week did not mean fucking anything. Do you know what I mean? So,
it's an interesting. I think the more you watch wrestling, you go crazy in your own way. Clearly, I have, but like, it's part of why the Dango thing pops me. Is like, I wonder how many of his matches I watched that I never even once considered the option that he might be good. Because to me, he was just a dancer. You know, it's like he wasn't a fucking dancer. They just put the gimmick on him and he became a dancer. And it's like perception is reality, right? Like I watched the whole Breezango run, thinking that he was just a gimmick and Breeze was the worker. And now I watch their matches and I'm like, that wasn't true at all. That wasn't true at all. But perception is reality. And I think we kind of put everyone in these boxes sometimes. It's like, sometimes it's fun to just watch it. Like Bray's interesting in that way, in the sense that Bray put himself in a very different category. But there's some shit Bray actually did bell to bell that was like sweet, man. That turnaround lariat he used to do. Remember that, where he would look that way and fucking pivot with a lariat? That was so cool. And it's like, you never associate that with him as your first thought because you're thinking of the gimmicks and the characters and the promos and the so on and so forth. Yeah, man. It's all over the place.
I think there's a lot of that kind of a lot of that good work can get lost in like the Attitude Era, or even like ruthless aggression as well. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, it's WWE, bro, or do you know what I mean? And it's like, even just the two people I just mentioned, Scotty 2 Hotty, Brian Christopher. People, oh yeah, too cool. The dancing, Rikishi, do you know what I mean? It's like, bro, if you go back and watch them, bro, Scotty 2 Hotty.
By the way, Rikishi too, man.
Yeah, bro, Rikishi
too.
Great worker, bro. No one talks about it.
I watched the Rikishi match a couple of years ago and was like, what the fuck? Like, I missed this entire... Like, the way he would bump for a man of his size.
Yeah. The flip bump he would do off a lariat.
Yeah, which was... I mean, that's like... to make that a signature bump at 4 bill is like crazy. But we just... When you watch him, as a fan, you just go, oh, he's the guy with the arse and the stink face gimmick. It's like, he's a wrestler behind that. And part of the fun for me is like watching that stuff. And there are cruiserweight matches in WWE in the 2000s where like you watch those guys, these guys were superb pro wrestlers, you know, but they were given 5 minutes and they had to do the best they could with 5 minutes. Like the crowd wasn't going to be into it. We did Green Grappler Paul London last month. It's like Paul London in his prime today would like blow people's minds, you know. They wouldn't even be a fab. If he was wrestling today, say him and Kendrick were in AEW in their prime and they were just getting 20 minutes every week to have TV matches on Collision, people would be like, they're the best tag team in the world, easily, you know? But that wasn't what their career was. They were tasked with different things than that. So it's fun to watch that. Like, I think Regal's a great example of that. Like, how many matches past 10 minutes does Regal wrestle in his physical prime? Hardly any in the WWF. He has 4-minute matches because that's not his job. But watch those matches and you go, holy shit, how fucking good was Regal, right? So, yeah.
That's the best part about doing like those rewatches or deep dives if you're not super familiar with like eras of yesteryear, is that you do pick up on these things. Like say for example, if you do go back and watch the Ruthless Aggression era or even Attitude era, it's like yeah, of course you're gonna pop for your Eddie Guerrero match or you know, your redacted match or whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna you go into them knowing what they're going to be because of the reputations that those guys have in the ring. Do you know what I mean? And even just what you think and what you've seen go beforehand. Rey Mysterio, go back a bit earlier, even like Steve, Brett, these people. Right. But there's always people kind of like, do you know what I mean? Like I remember like, I think it was pre-pandemic or it's like when I was starting the Rest of Pure page and I did my Attitude Era deep dive. So I'm popping through all these guys. Like, I just named the two cool. Then there's like Steve Blackman. Do you know what I mean? Like man's like that, and it's like, yo, he's making moves like, Kane, like early Kane. Do you know what I mean? Like you hear the perception of Kane is just like, oh, Kane could never wrestle. Kane's the worst in ring. I liked him when I was a kid, but he actually stunk. And when I grew up, I realized, bro, go back and watch Big Red Machine, early Kane, coming off the top rope and shit like that. Like crazy athlete, bro, for his size. You know what I mean? Especially for that time in wrestling. Good wrestler, bro. And it's just like these things just kind of like, you kind of need to go back, rejog your memory or watch for the first time and realise and form these opinions of these wrestlers for yourself.
Make
Do you know
your
what I
own
mean?
opinion. Yeah, dude. Like how many people were trained to think the Big Show sucked and like just accepted it as, dude, when the Big Show was like given anything of worth creatively, he was fucking tremendous pro wrestler, you know? But he got given a lot of shit, so people would just put the heat on him. Like, oh, the Big Show sucks. And it's like, I don't know, man. You go out and watch the Big Show when he's given anything of worth, an actual like presentation befitting his size. Dude was great, man. Absolutely, he was great. It's just, yeah, and that's not to say that the consensus is always wrong or you should be like a contrarian about it. It's more just like, there's real fun to watching it for yourself and going, what do I think? You know? Like, there are some guys that are really celebrated that I don't like as much as other people, you know? Like, Ibu and I always have our fun with some of those debates, but it's not because I think they suck. Everyone's taste is different, so you have different experiences with it. I will say, on Friday, we watched JBL and Eddie on the Grin. This is a plug, but it's sincere. We watched that match together, and I think that match is one of the greatest matches in WWE history. I really believe, you know, the bloodbath.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe that I left the StreamYard that night at like 5 a.m. and I was like, that match is better than I thought it was. But I think it's one of the greatest matches. I left that like
the feel.
Dude, Eddie's performance in that match, and JBL was really good in that match, but Eddie's performance in that match might be the greatest individual performance in wrestling history, I think. And I don't say that. You know me well enough to know I do not say that shit like every week, you know? What he does in that match is like indescribably great, you know? And when he fucking revs up and does the shimmy with the blood, bro, mate, that could make you cry, you know? Amazing.
Probably would, mate. Fucking watching Eddie do his thing, you know? I do struggle with watching Eddie, like his Pete work like that, to be honest, because it's like, because I always kind of get down about like, you know, the what if, you know, like what would Eddie Guerrero be doing right now, you know?
Yeah.
And would he be like an AEW like old hand? Would he be? Do you know what I mean? Like, and obviously I try not to think like with how fucked the world is these days. You know
Well,
what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
Yeah,
In
do you know what I
ring,
mean? Like, you
as a
don't want to be
wrestler,
like, oh,
yeah.
what politics would he have? So
Right.
I'm not talking about that. So what
Yeah.
would he be doing in wrestling? You know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I definitely agree. I find the whole Guerrero thing to
And
be,
like just the idea, like what would the visual of like old man Eddie look like? You know what I'm saying? Like just like, the sort of things like that. And you know, it just kind of gets me a bit sad. But
it's all very sad. I find it especially so in fear of getting in territory we shouldn't get in. I find it especially sad because of all the fallout with the family, and you know, I remember when Chavo said a couple of years ago that like the kids don't see any of the money, and I was just like, you know, they sell so much Eddie merch, and those kids aren't seeing any of it. It actually made it even more sad. On Friday, I did my review show, and I reviewed Eddie and Alton, which is a month before Eddie dies. It's their only singles match. And I reviewed AJ Styles and Jimmy Rave from 2015, and I was like this close to crying on the air because I did them one after another. I just, you know, the Jimmy. I don't know if you've ever seen Jimmy Rave and AJ Styles. It's an indie match from 2015, and AJ is the IWGP champion, and it is a Southern indie with like 60 people there, dude. And AJ Styles wrestles like it is Wrestle Kingdom, you know,
well,
because it's important to him.
Yeah,
and it's especially because I think he knows it matters for Jimmy. And they tell a story of like, they tell a story that basically comes down to he just ain't good enough to beat AJ Styles. You know, that's like what the story is. Like at core, the match is about no matter what Jimmy Rave does, he ain't beating AJ Styles. And that's like, to me, those stories are so. I remember Dax talking about it. Remember when Dax wrestled Punk on TV and Punk submits him, and Dax talked about how, like, to him, that match was summed up in the moment after the match where he just looks up in frustration because the idea was, I did everything right, I tried my best, and I wasn't good enough to win. That sometimes is more sad than some sort of convoluted. And that's what the Jimmy Rave match is. It's him wrestling a guy that was once his peer, who is now the best wrestler in the world, and he ain't going to beat him, you know, and it's inevitable. And so, because that's the story, it makes it more sad, like knowing where the story goes in real life, you know, because it feels very honest in that way. Some matches almost feel like they're about the real people, don't they? I think often the best ones do.
Yeah, I was gonna say like when you tell a story like that as well, and there is like some real background lore to it, like Jimmy and AJ, it's like it humanizes it in a way where it can, like, when you watch it in hindsight, like you did the other day, it's like you can get too real, you know.
It did, for me it did. I actually put off watching it because I knew it was going to happen, but it's just the story of the match is like life's not fair and he's not going to beat AJ Styles, and like you watch that now and it's just like fuck, bro. I don't know, wrestling's weird in that way. It kind of marries fiction and reality in a way that's really unsettling at times. You know, some of it's very real, and I think as fans you get swept, and that's why I think Eddie's a babyface. It's like people still have that connection, right? They feel like they knew him when he did the promo about his addiction. Like that promo made him more than just like a guy they cheer on TV. It's like, I fucking love that guy, you know? And I think that's why you, to this day, fucking Giannis Antetokounmpo post talking about him on Twitter yesterday, you know? Like, I think people remember that stuff. They feel like they know the guy. And it doesn't matter whether they do or they don't, it's what they feel. So, yeah, that's why we find it sad.
Yeah, Eddie, Jimmy Rave. It's a shame as well because like with wrestling there's just like countless tragedies. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's like countless tragedies to people there. You do wonder like what if, you know, it's like two people who just named died in like they both died in the 30s.
Yeah.
You know?
They're thereabouts.
How old was Jimmy? Jimmy had to have been in his 30s, right?
I think so.
39, yeah. He was 39. So
he's lost few years.
And we mentioned Bray as well, 36. It's like, it's brutal, man, you know?
It is. We are, as wrestling fans, we are unfortunately very used to tragedy, aren't we? It's a terrible shame. It's, I often think about, you see some of the boys and like you hear them talk, and we all have fun at their expense. And they say stupid shit, you know, wrestlers from yesteryear. And I just think like, how many of their friends have they lost? It's like, fuck, I can't even imagine, right? I think Jericho's book the picture at the end of Jericho's first book, I think it's him, Dean, Eddie, and Benoit. It's like, it's just, I think the last book is him and Dean on their own. They took the photo again, and yeah. How many times the wrestlers have had to like go into a room and give their thoughts on someone they've lost? It's like, fuck it. It's brutal, man. This is, obviously this is not really about wrestling at that point, but it's just, my mom always would say to me, like, because my mom doesn't follow wrestling, but she's obviously knows of wrestling, and I do. So she just be like, wrestling's a terribly sad industry, isn't it? I was like, yeah, it is. There's no real way to push back on that, is there? Really, it is fucking really sad.
No, 100%, man. It's like,
yeah.
And obviously, hopefully that picks up in this era that we're in now. The relaxed schedules, the attitude towards like substance abuse and stuff like that. The culture around like the boys and stuff. It's less about going out and drinking. Like all these things are positive. Do you know what I mean? Hopefully for the longevity of these guys' well-being.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? But like you say, it's unavoidable, bro. So many wrestlers have so many wrestlers. It feels like every year. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. It's tough. I always remember because remember Bray and Terry passed on Wembley week. Do you remember that in Allin?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember they did SmackDown, and all of the boys did their like message. I don't think they played them on TV, but they posted them on social. And I always remember. Gallows was really close with Bray. They both were really close with Bray. Gallows knew Bray in like developmental, which is hilarious to think about what those lads got up to in fucking, and he tells a couple stories about it. And I always remember Gallows sign off. He goes, say hi to the Funker or something to that effect. Say something to the Funker. And I remember thinking like, that's beautiful. But it made me more sad because of how the gap between those two guys, like in age and their careers, and it sticks with me to this day that when I think of it, I pair them together, which feels incredibly wrong and like kind of speaks to how sad it is. Really, this is very depressing, but we're just talking here, It's
we're just two friends talking late night, wondering about life,
Just fucking, it's real though, right? I mean, it's like I think a lot about. Because of when I became a fan, like, I do think a lot about kind of, it's a weird thing, but I do like hope most of our guys, my era's guys, I hope most of them have some fortune, I mean, it's already weird, like when you watch the Wyatt family stuff, it's like, what the fuck, like it's, and Jay Briscoe, like, that kicked the shit out of me, dude. Like, I remember waking up to things about Jay and just like, it was devastating. And so obviously, it's tragedy in life, let alone wrestling. But I do think a lot about, like, I hope that in 20 years I can see what, the SmackDown 2016 crew's up to,
Yeah, that's the thing. That's again, like, to my point I made earlier. It's just that, like, hopefully with this era, it's like in 10 years' time, there isn't people like, oh, I wish it. Like, bro, we just lost to Boo. At 61, he was just gone too soon. But he's like, I don't want to be on a show or even in private, talking to you or Ibu or any of our friends in the space, being like, oh, it's a shame he didn't get what he should have got out of this business financially, or just.
I agree. Absolutely.
Like,
I think about
especially people as influential as that, and hopefully I think based off what the business that we look at these days, that shouldn't happen because guys are getting paid. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
so
they are,
like people like Ospreay. Do you know what I mean? Like people like Ospreay is now making
money.
Like millions and millions of dollars a year.
Yes, I agree. And to make it, to lighten the mood a little bit, Brian Myers told an incredible Sabu story. And I recommend everyone go check it out. But the broad story, and I'll tell you this because I think it'll pop you, so I'll just repeat his story. Brian Myers booked Sabu to make an appearance at Creator Pro. He's in there. And I just want you to visualize this. And again, go watch Brian tell it because it's his story. But Sabu texted him on the day that he was supposed to be flying out, I fucked the booking. And Brian was like, what? And he said, I missed the flight. Okay. It was 11 a.m. in Vegas. He'd missed his flight. He's like, so what are you going to do? I'll wait for the next one. He waited until midnight for the next flight to New York. So imagine Sabu just arms folded for 13 hours at the airport in Vegas. And he arrived at 6 a.m. and he had to wait at the airport for 4 hours because Myers couldn't get to him until then because he had to, drop his kids off and all that stuff, real life stuff, because he wasn't expecting to be there at that time. And he said, like, I'll be real, like, I was expecting him to be, either kind of drunk or on other stuff or not in a great mood. And he said Sabu was in a great mood. And when he was telling this story, I felt myself grinning at the idea, the visual of Sabu just kind of walking about, and
airport lounge.
He said they went to a diner, and then he said he went back to Myers' house, and I lost my shit when Myers goes, because they became really good friends, which is wonderful, because I know Brian loves ECW. And Myers goes, I brought him into the toy room, and I just, brother, I don't know what it was, I lost my shit at the idea of Sabu walking around all these Mattel figures, just looking at all the boys, thinking, oh, that guy sucked, that guy was a prick. It was just, it sounds weird, but I don't think of Sabu as like a human. I think of him as this sort of...
That's what he wanted. That was the mystique.
Exactly,
he wanted.
Right. And yeah, exactly, man. And,
like Van Damme and Taz did that stream, and they're talking and Van Damme tells a story about like when they'd go to Japan. He's like, he never wanted to be the kind of guy that was like taking loads of pictures with fans and stuff. Like he appreciated the fans, but like there was a certain
distance.
There was a certain aura. Yeah, there was like a certain aura, and there was a certain like image he wanted to keep. So like, he said like one time when they were in Japan, he's like all these Japanese fans were coming up to him, and he was just like, fuck it, and he took the pictures. But after they took the pictures, when they would turn around and he would kick him in the ass, just to keep some sort of, do you know what I mean? Just to keep some gimmick. Yeah.
So the idea of that guy looking at Myers like prized ECW section, just kind of like, there they are, because they're all, I mean, it's just, it really popped me. It was the most, I kind of had this, in the visual, I'm sure is a million, there's actually a photo there's a selfie, and in the background is all of Myers ECW figures in their box, and Sabu's hitting the fucking point, and I was just like, man, like, what a great tale. So if anyone, that's worth watching, but I just thought I'd bring that up, because we went in all sorts of directions here, but, I think the point of all of this is like, we all should do the best we can to the people we fucking like in wrestling and the people that matter to us individually. Everyone has different people. I think it's imperative that we like scream that from the rooftops and celebrate that while they're around. And that's the real conclusion of this, right? And I think you and I, we use Jay Briscoe as an example because I know that's one that you and I have a great deal of connection to. I think people accuse us of many things, but I think we did our best to celebrate Jay Briscoe when we, when he was with us and when he was around. So I think that's the main thing that comes from all of this is like the people that I appreciate in wrestling, like I think I hide it. I'm very fortunate to like doing shit like this. I have a tiny profile in the game, so like I get to have some really cool interactions, which blows my mind every time. When I get to tell my mom about shit like that, she's like, it pops her so huge, It's that Cole Anderson clip I posted. Shit like that matters, man. So like, I'm thankful for if anyone who's watching this. I appreciate you guys, right? Because like they give us a different experience, the audience. I think for allowing us to like, have this platform, whatever the fuck this is. Like, it's weird. You do have experiences. You're like, whoa, that was cool. And I don't want to ever get to the point where I don't think it's cool. I think it is cool because I love wrestling, dude. It's awesome. That's the point.
Yeah, that is the point. And to kind of add to what you was to your point of celebrating the ones that you are. The wrestlers that you really have a connection, it's important like build your own connections with these people. Like to the point that we were saying earlier. So there's so many different things to like about wrestlers, and there's like I said, there can be boxes that wrestlers tick that you didn't even know were on the criteria of being a good wrestler, or sometimes you might just like a wrestler just because you fucking like them. Them ones like you just like them and you just grow a connection with them. So that's why it's important to kind of like deep dive things, search things out for yourself. If you see something you like, dig more into it. Yeah. Could it become the next thing that you celebrate? Could it become what the Briscoes, Jay Briscoe,
Yeah.
were to us. Alexa Bliss, you know, these feet. Do you know what I mean? Alexa
That's how we
Bliss,
started. That's
Roddy.
what we
Yeah,
started.
but raw, bro, like fucking, we love Alexa Bliss. Do you know what I mean? Like,
That was 40 minutes ago. You're right.
it's like, it's literally been part of our friendship over the years. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, okay, we didn't bond over Alexa Bliss, and it isn't why we're good friends, but it's been literally like a part of our friendship. Like,
Bro,
Alexa Bliss will do something or tweet something. I'll send it Joe straight away. Like, I'll see something with Alexa Bliss, I'll think of Joe, and I'm sure when he sees certain things, he thinks of me. Like, it's part of
the big
we
one for us.
you know.
For me, with us, is the Usos, the summer 23, bloodline thing. That's what I think of. I will never forget texting you like, listen, man, I think they're doing this tag match. like I was striking like a drug deal, Like, here's
That
the
was
situation.
that was a day. That was, man.
Yeah, I'd fucking like
Because we again, it's another thing. It's like we wanted it. Do you know what I mean? We really wanted. Like, we were gonna do Civil War, and the Usos. I mean, it was like the Usos have to win if they do it. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
we were
oh
fucking
my god,
in.
do you know what I mean? Then they start building it. Then, like you said, Joe texts me like, bro, I think it's happening. Like,
that shit's all like, that's part. That to me is part of it. Is like, I remember the match, but I just remember the day. I remember and I have other days like that. Like, I remember buying tickets to Royal Quest because FTR were booked, and they were doing 2 nights, and they didn't announce what matches were on which night. So I booked for night 2, and then they announced Aussie Open versus FTR for night 1, and I just went to my brother and was like, dude, I am not going to see FTR do a 10-man tag and missing this fucking Aussie Open match. I was like, we have to go. And we did. We took the most stupid route to Crystal Palace. We got on this shitty fucking bus that took us all around there. And I remember all of it. And I'm so happy I did it. That's like, because again, they're my guys, like, that's my thing. And for other people, it will be completely different shit. And that's beautiful. But like, the point is exactly what Monty was saying, which is like, whoever your guys are, guys, gals, or like whatever, just fucking embrace it, dude. Revel in it. Have fun with it. Like, it don't last forever, and you never know when it's gonna be taken from you. It's just like,
yeah, that's nothing. Not to get cliche, bro, but that's why I'm so kind of like anti-tribalism and shit like that. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Because
it's boring,
it's like follow the wrestlers, bro. Like, follow your wrestlers that you like and you connect with, and don't deprive yourself of it because they wrestle for X company or something that you don't want to check out or whatever. It's like, come on, man. Like, I can't imagine only being like an AEW fan and missing out on fucking Obafemi. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I don't want to be in a world where that's my mentality to wrestling. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Or any fans, every fan, like, follow the wrestlers, connect with the wrestlers, and and celebrate them whilst they're still around, because you never know how long they're going to be around. And as me and Joe have already said, obviously it won't be. Hopefully, it isn't as morbid over the next few years and the next eras and the next decades. But you never know. Do you know what I mean? And even look at Kevin Owens, man. Do you know what I mean? We adore Kevin Owens, bro. Like, he's one of my favorite wrestlers alive today. And it's like, all of a sudden he's not on our TVs anymore. And it's like, we hope he comes back, and I do genuinely believe and hope that he does. But it's like, he's gone. Do you know what I mean? Like, and he did just it happened just like that, bro. Like, no one was expecting it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, no one was building. There was no real, like, I guess, like, the week of, there was like the report and rumors like a couple of days before he made the announcement. Do you know what I mean? But like, it wasn't like, oh, he's going to announce that he's got a career-threatening injury. It was like, he's going to announce an injury. Do you know what I mean? But like I said, even like the months leading up to that, it wasn't like.
No, he was in the middle of a run.
It wasn't like we were. I'm trying to think of like who's a wrestler that you can watch, like. FTR before they took the break, like when you're watching Dax and he just looked like fucking beat, like he was having good matches, but he was just fucking battered. Do you know what I mean? He was just greeting through it, bro. It's not like Kevin was doing that. Do you know what I mean? He was having really good matches. Like, yeah, of course he would look like he was carrying a bump or two, but of course you'd expect that of someone who's been in the business and as active as Kevin has been. But again, it's like it can just like that. Kevin's out for a year, 2 years, or however long it's going to be,
It's why I like, You know, everyone knows obviously Joe is my like favorite wrestler ever.
Yeah, bro.
And
Joe.
it's why this run, and I think you can attest to this as my friend, like I've tried my best to like even shit I didn't care about, like when he wrestled Blake Christian on Ring of Honor TV, it's like I must tune into the Honor Club, you know, like it matters to me. And dude, my dad's saying crazy to me the other day. We were talking about Forbidden Door. I was like, "Do you want to go?" He's kind of out. Like, he doesn't watch a lot of AEW right now, or WWE. He just doesn't watch a lot of the stuff right now. And he was like, "No." He goes, "When you sing John Punk, it's tough, isn't it? Really." That's what he said to me. Big league. He said, "I've seen John Punk." And he said that he did the same thing the second Wembley show. Brian's one of his favorites. I couldn't convince him. I saw John Punk, didn't I? Really saw.
That was a spiritual experience. I can't lie. So
he lost his shit for that. Dude. He's in his 60s, and he was like,
it's funny spiritual, man.
But it was different. Like for me, it was like fucking DVD lore and like Ring of Honor. He doesn't know any of that shit. He just thought it was
two cool.
Yeah,
two cool guys that he loves. That
Yeah,
just had chemistry
sick.
on that night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
But like you said,
definitely.
he weren't tapped into the law. Like you know that they got the chemistry and everything. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, it's definitely been a cool thing about like, and I think this is another part of this is you and I were sharing our experiences. I think sharing wrestling with people is beautiful, right? And like, you may not have people in your real life that you can share it with, but the beauty of places like chats like this or whatever Discord you're on, wherever the fuck you're at, I don't know. Like if you're watching this, you probably have people online that you talked about wrestling. Is my point, right? On Twitter, wherever it is. That's fucking cool, man. Like you share that, and it maybe ain't the same. And like, I'm very fortunate to have that kind of, like I've been able to watch Joe's AEW run with my dad, which is like really cool because he'd never seen Samoa Joe really wrestle before that. He didn't really watch wrestling, which is hilarious. That's fucking cool for me. Like he can get me a gift or I can get him a gift that's wrestling related, Not everyone has that, and I understand that. That's why I try my best to appreciate it. But my point is you will have people you talk to about wrestling. And if they're people you truly like, I think you should always, kind of keep that in mind. That's part of the fun. I mean, fuck, you and I have those friends. Ibu's like, shit will happen and I'll text Ibu and it's like part of the fun for me, Like, what's this prick going to say about it now? What's this arsehole going to tell me now? It's part of my life at this point. It's fucking, I do it every day almost, every couple of days. It's like, all of it's one memory. It's like, I don't remember the drop down tackle. I remember watching it. It's fucking losing my mind for it. Like, yeah, man. I tweet. Fuck, we're off the rails. I tweeted about this a couple months ago, but like, I vividly remember FTR Briscoes, the first match I watched on my own live, and I recorded like a video. We were about to go on the air afterwards to review it, but I recorded like a video in my dressing gown. I don't know why I did this. Yeah, like why did I do? I've never done this before, since or after, and I was just like, that's fucking unbelievable. I was losing my mind. And then that weekend, I watched the match with my family, and they all loved the match. And the next time they wrestled, we did a fucking full Holber family party for it. And this is like Mama Holber, like 65 years old, is like, make sure I'm up for FTR Briscoes too. I don't even think I love the match. I don't even remember the match much as like how fucking insane that was. This match was so good that it like convinced my mum I have to see the rematch to see if the Briscoes can get the straps back. Like it's so stupid. That's just like my memory of it. Yeah, it's it's fun.
Yeah, so basically what we're saying is that watching wrestling and being a fan of wrestling can genuinely be quite a beautiful, moving experience, It can be a powerful experience and you can create memories that will last with you forever. So it's very easy to get caught up in like the stupid discourse and the Twitter arguments and conversations and replying to people who you've never spoke to or never spoke to or engaged with before because they made a point that you don't like. But, that isn't what being a fan's about. A fan isn't about the online agendas and the discourse and the getting the hit tweets. It's about enjoying the wrestlers for what they are, sharing the experiences with other fans, and just enjoying the medium for what it is.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
And having your whole family parties with your parents in the 60s. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a beautiful thing.
It is, yeah, it's cool.
As silly as it sounds, and that's almost like the beauty of wrestling. It's like as
It's
silly as it
fucking
sounds, you
stupid,
know.
right? Yeah, it's like it's it's a unique beast, and you have to just make of it whatever you want, dude. Do whatever you want with it. Like if you want to watch all the wrestling, watch all of it. If you want to watch Fandango matches, watch Fandango matches. I don't give a fuck. Just enjoy it. Main thing with me is just enjoy it. You know, whatever it is. And when I say enjoy it, I don't mean like everything, because clearly I don't do that. I mean like enjoy engaging with it. You know, that's it. Like that's all I want people to do. I fucking the thing of people tuning into shows they know they're gonna hate and hating it. It's like God, man, do something else. There's so many Kurt Hawkins matches to watch, you know. Fuck.
There is. Alright, I think we should wrap it up. We've gone past the 3 hour. We're comfortably past the 3 hour mark here at 3 a.m. in the morning, people. So it's probably best that we start winding it down. You know what? Since I asked you, Bill, even though it's not really relevant to you that much, but who you got, Bill? No, even who you got? Nick? Who you got? The Knicks or the Pacers?
I actually have the Knicks.
Yes,
but I haven't been watching closely, and I'm almost scared to say that because I don't want to upset my.
Listen, this is 3 hours in. The audience is slowly starting to filter out. Ibu's not here. Yeah. I don't want to like sell him a dream. All right, so going into the Boston series, yeah, I said before game 1, Knicks are knocking out Boston. People were telling me Boston are gonna sweep the Knicks. You know, I'm a newish basketball fan, so I'm not coming at this like some expert analysis, you know. But it's just that like Knicks were beating Boston, then they went 2-0 up. I was like, okay, Knicks in 6, 100%. Knicks went in 6, yeah. Watching this Denver Nuggets versus Thunder series, I was like, if the Nuggets get through this year, the Knicks can't beat the Nuggets, bro. You know, I think the Knicks beat Indiana. I think they can beat Thunder, bro. I think they can get out.
Wow, you're very bullish on the New York Knicks. All right.
Yeah, I feel like the Knicks. I'm not. I would say I definitely think the Knicks are going to beat the Pacers, whether it's in. Whether they sweep them, whether it's in 5, whether it's in 6, whether it's in 7. I'm not gonna go. I'm gonna wait until I see them play a couple of times before I make a big fucking prediction on that. But I definitely do think the Knicks do take out the Pacers. I feel like and I do think the Thunder.
Yeah.
I do think the Thunder get to the NBA final as well. And I don't know. I think the Knicks can beat the Thunder. I don't know why.
I watch the Thunder.
Yeah, I was going to say when
about the Knicks. Yeah, the Knicks are, they're the Knicks.
No, but this is obviously the best
different team.
This is this is like the best Knicks team in what? This is the furthest they've been in over 20 years, bro. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, there's something. Then obviously like the Jalen Brunson factor as well. He's such a great playoff player, you know. I think Cat. I think Cat and Bridges have been like really strong recently, especially at home at MSG. So, I think the stars can align for the Knicks, bro. Like I know it sounds crazy, but
like 2021 Holbert, bro, you're locked in. I'm out of the loop on a lot of this stuff. All right, I'll see. I'll follow from afar.
See, a lot of people that OKC should keyword beat either team if they take. Yeah, bro. Of course, I understand that. Like OKC now that they've got past the Nuggets and Jokic, so they probably just should win the title. You know, there's just something about this. There's something about this Knicks team, bro. I'm telling you.
Imagine the worldwide episode that would follow their championship win, dude. I mean, come on. It'd be repulsive.
See, people are saying, I just don't. There is a lot of people who do think the Pacers just beat them, which would be very funny.
I think it'll be a very close series, to be honest.
I don't. I think now that the Knicks,
If I was Ibra, I'd be very worried about how confident you are about the Knicks. Very confident.
That's why I'm not saying it to him or in front of him. Like when we was going into the Boston series, I was DMing him like, "Yo, you're gonna beat Boston, bro." Do you know what I mean? Then I think halfway through the series, it was like, obviously he was like, "Oh, I don't know, man," because Ibu is a cynical Knicks fan, you know. Then like halfway through the videos, I was like, yeah, you're gonna beat him in 6, and obviously he was a lot more confident. I wouldn't even dare go into Ibu's DMs to be like, you know what, Ibu, I think you can do it.
Yeah.
Because if someone done that to me with Chelsea, bro, like I'll just be like, get the fuck out of my face.
There's too much trauma there. I think it's fucking cool the Knicks and the Pacers are playing a fucking major playoff series in 2025. That pops me a lot because the history there is tremendous. So I'll try and watch some of it. I've gotten really bad at that. I still follow along because I do really enjoy the game. But a couple of years ago, I'd watch like every game, and I'm washed, bro. All I do now is watch my cage match watch list matches. I'm also on drop kicks now. Have you heard about this? I'm a drop kick.
I've heard about this.
I copy and paste directly from cage match.
Listen, if they sort it out and they get all the old promotions and shit on there, which I know that they've been adding recently,
yeah,
I might get on there. But someone in the chat said, "Fuck that, I'm rocking with Ant all the way." Yeah, fair enough, bro. Ant's probably my favorite player left. I do love Brunson though, but
Ant's fucking awesome.
Ant's just got like more swagger, bro. Do you know what I mean? So it's just like. It's not necessarily. I don't support the Knicks, bro. Do you know what I mean? Like the first NBA team I picked was the Miami Heat, and that was only because of Jimmy Butler. And look how that worked out. Do you know what I mean? So I don't have an NBA team, bro. Like I don't have one. I like the Knicks. I like Thunder, bro. I like the Nuggets. Like I've never understood. Like as a Brit, like a casual Brit, he's probably like scratching a blackboard to fucking American fans that actually like give a fuck about basketball, you know. But like, I watched the Nuggets and Jokic, bro, and I don't get this whole narrative about like, oh, Jokic isn't great to watch, bro. Man can't stop him. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can watch Jokic and be very entertained, bro, because he's just so good, you know. But you know, he's not. He ain't got the. He obviously, I understand he ain't got the flair of like an Edwards or. You know, an SGA or somebody like that. Do you know what I mean?
He has a lot of flair in his own way, though, right? His passing is fucking amazing.
I love Jokic, man. I think he's one of my favourite people to watch. I'd go that far. Do you know what I mean? He's Someone said Caruso did a pretty solid job on him tonight. Caruso's been really good, bro. Obviously, everyone talks about SGA, obviously, for obvious reasons, and but. Caruso has been great.
One of the things that's great about watching the playoffs is like the role players that prove pivotal, you know, and have these major moments. That's always one of the things that I loved when I used to watch closely. The time kicks the shit out of me because if I'm up at this time now, it's because I'm doing a show, you know, like it's bad. Like I watched some of the games tonight because it was on early, but I can't. I still do too many late nights, frankly, but I'm doing them because I'm on the air now. My schedule is, as you know, fucking hilarious. And speaking of such, I have a lot of shit coming out this week. I'm going to show you some plugs, money, like the old days.
Yeah, do some plugs.
For the stragglers that are left. Fine. Okay, so what Worldwide tomorrow? Tuesday, we're doing a free stream. We are watching NXT TakeOver Unstoppable, which is the Becky Lynch Sasha Banks show, which is an all-time match. A familiar Samoan man debuts on that show also. So we're gonna watch that live and free Tuesday night after NXT. Wednesday night, the team are doing a Double or Nothing preview. I will not be there, but they will be. And then Friday, this is the kicker. Here we go, Monty. For the first time in months, the Late Night Grim will be doing wrestling talk on Friday as we will be reviewing matches from across the globe. We're doing a match from Deadlock. Doing Nanaya and Mayu. We're doing Steve Macklin versus Eric Young, Dog Collar. We got so much up our sleeve. We're going back in time and doing Big Van Vader versus Davey Boy Smith to pop ourselves. So that's what's coming up this week. We got a bunch of shit over at the Grin. I know Montel has put our wonderful link below for LNG Gold. So if you liked this, check it out. Don't have to go to membership. You could just look at the channel first, see the free stuff. There's loads of free shit up there. There's tons of it. So appreciate it. This is very fun, Montel.
Yeah, we have a good time, you know. Sunday's always interesting for me because I'm with my girlfriend in the day, so it's not like I'm really like sitting down and like going over like, oh, what we're gonna talk about. But there is kind of like a comfort in knowing that I'm going out there with someone I've got some chemistry with, you know what I mean? Someone
Yeah.
who I can work a match with,
Pull it in
you
the
know what I
ring.
mean? Someone who I've done the loops with, do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and here we are, nearly 3.5 hours in, and I feel like we've had some like interesting convos, bro. Like the chat's been involved with it as well. We had Ibu come in for like 30 minutes an hour, or however long he was about for, and yeah, man, we managed to. We drew a good house, you know.
Good shit. This was
Alright,
your first
people.
2-show week in a bit too, right? 2 shows in 1 week.
Yeah, I ain't done 2 shows in 1 week.
Hustling, bro.
Probably like Mania week or something, bro. To be honest,
Back
Probably like
back on the grind, brother.
bro, listen, I'm trying. Like I was saying earlier, when Darren Walker sent that super chat in, I'm trying to get more people on Respiratory Live. Gonna try and incorporate, obviously, gonna be incorporating people in house as well. I'll try to get like AO, Chris, even Ibu, if he can do some afternoons and that with me. You know, obviously, you guys know I'm gonna do Joe every week. Like do Respiratory Live with Joe every week. And yeah, I'm gonna try to get more guests in. Whoever you guys want me to get, and if I get enough people who I know you guys want, I can't get my words out. If I get enough people asking for the same person, then I'm definitely going to ask them. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So get asking, send me DMs where you don't have to drop it. Like, obviously, it'd be nice if you just dropped a comment after this fucking video or something, innit? But
Right.
you know, you can DM me. You can DM the Respiratory page. You can comment on one of our tweets or whatever the fuck, you know. So I hope you guys did like the Silent Monster stream. It was the first time we'd been on like screen together. It's like one of our first conversations, to be honest. He isn't like, obviously before like getting like people like Joe and Ibu and stuff like that on the channel, like I had like full on friendships with them going into creating the channel. Like I DM them all the time and stuff like that. Whereas obviously the Silent Monster thing was just kind of like, you know, you just our first real conversation was on air for 2 hours. Do you know what I mean? So and it went. I thought it went pretty well. Our audience reacted to it. I think it's our most liked video this week. So,
Shit.
you know, our most liked video of the week, not including Ibu, is it's quite the feat. You know, it's But yeah, man, I really appreciate you guys for tuning in and fucking with that and giving that a chance. So you're gonna get more of it, basically. So yeah, Respiratory Worldwide tomorrow, Tuesday, of course, a Raw review with Ibu and Rob, and then we'll see when I place Respiratory live throughout the week. Me and Joe will be back next week as well, and we'll see what happens. It's Double or Nothing week as well. I can't do next Sunday though, Joe, because obviously Double or Nothing, and then my week next Sunday is. I'll bore you with it after we get off the air.
We'll
Alright,
figure it
people.
out. Yeah.
Respiratory Worldwide tomorrow. That's the main one you need to know. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate you guys are sending super chats. Appreciate all you guys for being so engaging in the live chat, and just appreciate you guys in general, man, for fucking with us. So yeah, man. See you next week. Peace.